Chapter 343. Tang Bao wanted to have Di Haotian's child again, but how could she be willing to be treated so cruelly by Di Haotian? Not to mention, there was a third person in the room. The woman sitting on the ground was dumbfounded. What was going on? Didn't he bring her to the young master's castle? She was fully prepared. How did it turn out like this? She felt that the young master was very angry at this moment. Di Haotian, calm down. Tang Bao was so scared. It was so painful that she could only gasp. She knew that if she didn't stop Di Haotian, he would do anything. Tang Bao raised her hand and smashed the table lamp in her hand at Di Haotian's head. Di Haotian groaned and fell on Tang Bao's body. Tang Bao almost vomited blood from the pressure. She forcefully moved Di Haotian off her body. Tang Bao sat up, pulled her pajamas around her, and got out of bed. She turned around and looked at Di Haotian, who had fainted. Her heart was so sour that it felt heavy. Thinking that there was still a woman around, Tang Bao turned around and looked at the frightened woman. Do you want me to knock you out and throw you out like a dead fish, or do you want to walk out on your own? Tang Bao asked coldly. The woman stood up quickly and ran away in the blink of an eye. Tang Bao sat down on the edge of the bed and looked at Di Haotian. Even though he had fainted, his chiseled face still had an aggressive aura. She reached out and took off Di Haotian's suit jacket and covered him with the blanket. Then, she wrung a hot towel and wiped his face. After doing everything, she lay down beside Di Haotian. She hugged herself. She was too tired and felt uncomfortable both physically and mentally. Not long after, she fell asleep. Di Haotian woke up and saw the figure curled up beside him. His eyes rippled. This scene was too familiar. Every morning when he woke up, Tang Bao was in his arms. It was the same now. With her head on his arm, he hugged her. But when he thought of what Tang Bao had done, his eyes suddenly turned cold. He coldly withdrew his arm. Tang Bao's head suddenly fell on the pillow and woke her up. Seeing Di Haotian wake up next to him, his expression became slightly uneasy. You were drunk last night. Di Haotian turned around with a face as cold as ice. Even if I was drunk, it's none of your business last night. Who should it be? Is it that woman? Tang Bao's heart ached. How could you do this to me? Di Haotian stepped forward with a ruthless look in his eyes. You deserve it. After saying that, he let go of her hand and turned to enter the bathroom. The door slammed shut with a bang. Tang Bao hugged his knees dejectedly and painfully and buried his face in them. Her face was still burning with pain from being pinched. Was this what she deserved? But she could understand Di Haotian's feelings. If it were her and the child was aborted on her own accord, her heart would also be filled with hatred. Now, she felt as if she had walked into a dead end and didn't know how to get out. How could she make Di Haotian forgive her? Di Haotian washed up and left directly. Tang Bao was the only one at the dining table. Tang Bao tasted like wax. After 2 bites, she stopped eating. Young madam, you should eat more, Zhongli said. I'm going to the company. Tang Bao stood up and left the dining room. She took her bag and left the castle in the car. Zhongli was worried and said to Lien beside him, I always feel that young madam is so kind. How could she be so cruel as to abort the child? She didn't even let young master know. How could she be so bold? Perhaps, when people are forced into a corner, they will do something unimaginable, Lien said. Zhongli thought about what happened last night and felt especially stifled. Even she felt stifled, let alone Tang Bao. Fortunately, that woman left later. Zhongli couldn't accept that young master, who doted on Tang Bao so much, would become like this. Supervisor, do you think young master will forgive young madam? Will he always treat young madam like this? I'm afraid that young master won't want young madam anymore. He won't, Lien said. How can you be so sure? Lien looked at Zhongli. If young master really doesn't want young madam anymore, as long as he has this intention, you won't be here. What does it have to do with me? Zhongli was stunned. Because you tipped off young madam. After Lien finished speaking, He turned around and entered the hall. Zhang Li stood there in a daze. It seemed to be true. At that time, she tipped off Tang Bao and was caught by He Ju. That was no different from being caught by young master. But in the end, he didn't do anything to her. If it was really as Lian said, if young madam was unlucky, she wouldn't be able to escape. So, Zhang Li thought that she didn't need to worry that young madam would be abandoned by young master? But who could say for sure what would happen in the future? If Tang Bao returned to the company, Wan Malay would definitely ask her about it. She was a little flustered. When she reached the entrance of the company, she turned the car around and went to the Tang family's house. Other than the servants, the Tang family's house was empty. It was the bleak winter all around, and there wasn't even a flower. Tang Bao thought of the large number of roses planted by Di Haotian. They were still blooming so beautifully, but his heart ached when he looked at them. He burned incense for Tang Qishan. The more Tang Bao looked at the black and white photo, the more aggrieved he felt. The more he looked at it, the more he wanted to cry. He simply lay in front of the coffin and wailed, "Wah! Dad! Dad!" His cries became more and more sorrowful, and tears fell down in droplets. He broke down and cried in despair. The servant stood not far away and watched. For a moment she didn't know what to do. Tang Bao cried for a long time. He only stopped when he was tired and had no more strength. There was only sobbing left. At this moment the phone on his body rang. Tang Bao's first reaction was that it was Di Haotian calling. When he took out his phone anxiously and frantically and saw the caller ID, his excitement immediately turned into disappointment. "Hello." Tang Bao had just opened his mouth when he realized that his throat was a little hoarse. He couldn't help but let out an and cleared his throat. "What's wrong with you?" Wan Malay could hear that something was wrong with her voice and asked. "It's nothing. I missed my dad, so I came back to see him. When I saw his photo, I couldn't help but cry. Malay, my dad has left me. Now I'm the only one left in this world." Wan Malay was rendered speechless by Tang Bao's sobs and sadness on the other end of the phone. "When your dad left you, you had already become a person. Did you only realize it now?" "It's okay. You still have me now." Wan Malay thought of something and asked, "Did you and the young master quarrel again? You saw through it so quickly?" Chapter 344. "It's just a small conflict," Tang Bao stammered. Didn't Wan Malay know her? Would a small conflict be so serious that she would run home and cry? Her throat was hoarse. "You're at the Tang family's house now? I'll go and find you." Wan Malay hung up the phone. If Tang Bao stayed alone at the Tang family's house and looked at Tang Qishan's photos, she might feel aggrieved for a day. Wan Malay and Chen Shu applied for leave and left the company. They took a taxi directly to the Tang family's house. When they entered the house, they saw Tang Bao lying on the sofa. Her eyes were open, and she was facing the television that was not turned on. Wan Malay walked over and asked, "What are you doing?" Tang Bao came back to her senses and sat up lazily. She had a blank expression on her face. "You're here? You're standing here, so of course I'm here." Wan Malay sat down on the sofa. "What happened? You're just done with your confinement and young Master D is treating you like this? Why do I feel like there's a reason for this?" Tang Bao pursed her lips tightly, implying that she would not say what the reason was. If she said it, Wan Malay might run to Di Haotian and tell him the truth. Besides her, no one else knew about this matter. "All right, I won't interfere in the matters between you two. But I think the two of you will reconcile in a few days," Wan Malay said. "You really think so?" Tang Bao asked as if she saw a glimmer of hope. "Yes. Which time didn't you see them reconciling in the end? So don't be sad." Tang Bao looked down weakly and said, "I think Di Haotian won't want to talk to me anymore. He hates me very much now." "Then it looks like you've done something unforgivable?" Wan Malay looked like she understood and muttered softly, "I knew you did something wrong. You've always been like this." Tang Bao stared at her. "I've already heard it. That's an illusion, Juan Millet immediately denied. Don't stay here. Since I've asked for leave, let's go out and walk around. She didn't want to feel more depressed. Where are we going? I've already asked the servant to prepare your meal. Let's go shopping first. We'll eat when we're hungry, Juan Millet said. Anyway, they were going to drag the Tang Bao out. Then, both of them went out. They shuttled back and forth in the women's clothing stores. The two of them were still holding drinks in their hands. They drank and ate as they shopped. When she was tired, she would find a dessert shop to sit down and continue eating. After eating, they continued to shop. Tang Bo was carrying her loot. Juan Millet did not buy anything and helped Tang Bo carry the loot. Millet, thank you for your hard work. I'll treat you to a high-class restaurant later, Tang Bao said. That's more like it. She was tired from shopping, and it was almost time for dinner. The two of them found a high-end clubhouse to have a meal. On the second floor, the atmosphere inside was not bad. Just as the two of them were led to their seats by the waiter, they saw Di Haotian, who was also eating there. Yu Sanghuan and Lan Wanru were also at the same table. They were enjoying their meal happily. Tang Bao stood there in a daze and looked at them. Di Haotian raised his black eyes and glanced at her coldly. Then, he turned a blind eye to her and looked away. Lan Wanru also noticed this side, including Yu Sanghuan. However, their reactions were better. They were a little surprised. But in the end, they pretended not to see. Tang Bao sat down in her seat. Her heart ached. Bao Bao, the young master is here. Aren't you going over? Juan Millet naturally saw the three people leaning against the window. No need. There are a total of 4 seats. It can't fit the two of us. It probably couldn't fit one person. I'm fine. I can sit here and eat alone. You can pay the bill when the time comes, Juan Millet said with a serious face. Tang Bao stuffed the menu into her hand. Look at your menu. On the other side, Lan Wanru had a gentle smile on her face. When she saw Di Haotian's indifference towards Tang Bao, she felt even more proud. She felt that her body could get better immediately. I think the food in this restaurant is really delicious. This is my first time eating here. Fortunately, Brother Haotian and Auntie are here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to eat it, Lan Wanru said gently and sensibly. If you like it, come again next time, Yu Sanghuan said with a smile. Then, he said, I won't come again next time. Let your brother Haotian bring you here. Lan Wanru looked at Di Haotian with tenderness and asked, Brother Haotian, can I? Di Haotian chewed his food slowly and said expressionlessly, Yes. Thank you, Brother Haotian, Lan Wanru said happily. Tang Bao heard every word that was said at the table clearly. She didn't look at any of the dishes on the menu. She just listened to them, and her expression didn't look too good. Juan Millet lowered her voice and said, Why don't we go somewhere else to eat? No need. After ordering and waiting, Tang Bao said, I'm going to the washroom. Okay. Tang Bao went to the washroom, but he didn't go to the washroom. Instead, he stood in front of the mirror and looked at himself in it. She never thought that as long as she listened to Yu Sanghuan would accept her. But when it really came to this, she couldn't help but feel hurt. Perhaps Yu Sanghuan couldn't make her sad. What she couldn't stand was Di Haotian's indifference to her, and his contact with other women. She couldn't stand it, but she had to watch helplessly. There was nothing she could do. Her heart was like a flower, and the petals were being pulled off one by one. Tang Bao had never experienced that kind of process and that kind of pain before. What a coincidence! Lan Wanru walked into the washroom and appeared in the mirror. Tang Bao looked at her. Lan Wanru was dressed up today. Even her usually pale face had some blush and lipstick. She looked a lot healthier. Eating at the same restaurant and meeting in the washroom. Isn't that a coincidence? Lan Wanru smiled triumphantly. It is indeed a coincidence. Tang Bao's face was expressionless. He lowered his head and washed his hands. Tang Bao, is Brother Haotian going to divorce you? I heard Brother Haotian talking to Auntie this morning. I don't really understand, but at least I can tell that Brother Hautian is very dissatisfied with you and is already very impatient. You have to know that when a man is impatient with a woman, it's the precursor to divorce. Don't you think so? Tang Bao looked at himself in the mirror and his expression changed. Di Hautian would divorce her? Would he? Lan Wanru was the one who was talking nonsense here. She was deliberately saying this to deceive her. Chapter 345. Tang Bao restrained himself and turned to look at Lan Wanru with a smile. What are you laughing at? Lan Wanru asked, puzzled. Can't you see that I'm mocking you? Coming to the toilet to steal the limelight from me, isn't that a bit too hasty? If Di Hautian wanted to marry you, he would have married you a long time ago. I think even if you wait until you die of old age, he still won't marry you. Except that his brain is damaged. After Tang Bao finished speaking, he turned around, opened the door, and walked out. Lan Wanru was furious and chased after him. What do you mean? Do you think I'm lying to you? Let me tell you, it's all true. Who do you think you are? You married Brother Hautian by accident. Do you really think he cares about you? If you weren't Big Aunt Savior, he wouldn't even look at you. Tang Bao turned around. He did not look sad at all. Instead, he smiled and walked toward Lan Wanru. It's a pity. I saved his mother, but he didn't just look at me once. He looked at me many times. He looked at me in the morning, at noon, at night. He looked at me with his eyes closed. Who would look at you with their eyes closed? Don't you understand that the heart is looking at you with your eyes closed? Tang Bao looked at Lan Wanru and asked proudly. Lan Wanru was about to refute, but he was stunned when he saw a black figure moving not far away. The expression on his face immediately changed to one of grief and indignation. What do you mean by what you said just now? What do you mean you never loved Brother Hautian? Then who do you love? Is it my brother? But you're already married to Brother Hautian. How can you be entangled with my brother? Tang Bao, how can you face Brother Hautian like this? Tang Bao was stunned. What are you talking about? When did I? Lan Wanru immediately interrupted her. Tang Bao, I don't have any other request. Since you're married to Brother Hautian, can you not hurt him? My health isn't good, so I can't do anything. But I can kneel down and beg you. I beg you not to hurt Brother Hautian. As he spoke, Lan Wanru really knelt down. Are you crazy? Tang Bao forcefully shook off Lan Wanru's hand. Lan Wanru was flung to the ground. Tang Bao frowned. Was she really that capable? And he even threw her to the ground? Behind him came the steady sound of hard-soled leather shoes hitting the marble floor. Tang Bao's back stiffened. He turned around and saw Di Hautian walking over. His aura was so cold that it was terrifying. His face looked like it was covered with a thick layer of frost. Tang Bao finally understood why Lan Wanru's attitude changed so drastically and why he said those words. It turned out that he did it for Di Hautian to see. Tang Bao immediately walked forward and grabbed Di Hautian's strong arms with both hands. Di Hautian, let me explain. Di Hautian shook her off directly. His back bumped into the hard wall. Ah! Tang Bao screamed in pain and shock. He couldn't believe what he saw as Di Hautian walked past him to help Lan Wanru. Lan Wanru stood up and cried softly, Brother Hautian. He felt very wronged. Are you okay? Di Hautian only had eyes for Lan Wanru. Lan Wanru shook his head. With Brother Hautian's concern, I'm fine. Tang Bao didn't do it on purpose. I accidentally fell down. Let's go. Di Hautian hugged Lan Wanru and the two of them were about to leave. Tang Bao looked at Di Hautian, who was so cold and heartless to her. He wanted to cry and laugh at the same time. In the end, he squatted in the corner and held his head in pain. He looked at Lan Wanru and Di Hautian, who had returned to their seat. Tang Bao was the only one who didn't come over. Moreover, Lan Wanru looked as if he had been wronged. Wan Malay stood up and went to the bathroom. From afar, he saw Tang Bao sitting motionlessly at the bathroom door. Tang Bao, what's wrong with you? Wan Malay squatted down and asked. Tang Bao buried her head and wiped the tears off her face. Then, she looked up and said, "I'm fine. Have the dishes been served?" "Yes." Tang Bao stood up and said, "Since the dishes have been served, let's go back and eat." "Tang Bao." Wan Malay was worried about her. "I'm fine. I just had a fight with Lan Wanru and then I miss my dad. The most important thing now is not to waste a table full of good food. Let's go." Tang Bao returned to her seat with a calm expression. The dishes had all been served. She sat down and started eating. Van Malay glanced at the people at the other table and began to eat in silence. Not long after, Di Haotian and the others at the other table left. As soon as they left, Tang Bao's tears fell silently. "If Di Haotian treated me like this in the past, I would be very happy. I would even look for you to celebrate. But now, I don't know what to do. Tang Bao, what's the matter that's so serious? It wasn't like this in the past." Wan Malay couldn't think of anything that could make Di Haotian like this. Even if Tang Bao had that kind of relationship with Di Junbai in the past, Di Haotian had forgiven her. Was there anything more serious than that? Tang Bao shook her head, and the tears in her eyes fell like beads. She wiped the tears on her face and said, "Let's not talk about it. Let's eat." Wan Malay thought, was the matter so serious that she couldn't talk about it? It was really worrying. And Di Haotian was really scary when he was cold. After the meal, although she was still suppressing something in her heart, at least she could calm down. Wan Malay had asked for a day off for her, so naturally, she couldn't waste it. She strolled and ate outside the whole day. She didn't go back until it was dark. In the castle, Di Haotian didn't come back, and she was the only one at the table. Lan Wanru walked to the door of Di Junbai's study and knocked. Di Junbai's voice came from inside. "Come in." Lan Wanru pushed the door open and entered. "Brother, am I disturbing you?" "No, you're looking for me." Lan Wanru closed the door, walked over, and said, "I just want to know who posted the photos of you and Tang Bao on the internet last time? What's the purpose? Brother, did you find out?" "I didn't check." "Why not? I have a feeling that this person has bad intentions. Don't tell me they want to frame you?" Lan Wanru guessed. "It's just some photos. I won't take it to heart. But when I went to eat with Brother Haotian today, I bumped into Tang Bao." Brother Haotian acted as if he didn't see Tang Bao. The two of them were like complete strangers. "I'm thinking, is it because of those photos on the internet?" Lan Wanru asked. "At noon today?" Di Junbai's expression changed slightly. "Yes. Tang Bao and her friend also went to eat and they bumped into each other just like that. I thought that Brother Haotian would talk to Tang Bao, but who knew that he didn't even look at her? It seems like it's quite serious. I specifically came to ask if you found out who took those photos. If you found out, the misunderstanding between Brother Haotian and Tang Bao will also be resolved." Chapter 346. No matter how much I like Brother Haotian is already married. If Brother Haotian wants to divorce Tang Bao, I won't say anything. But today, I don't think Brother Haotian has any intention of divorcing Tang Bao. I think at most, they'll just be at loggerheads. However, I'm afraid that Brother Haotian will misunderstand you because I don't think he did it, Lan Wanru said with certainty. Di Junbai had a faint smile on his face. "I'll take care of this matter. You don't have to worry. If you're not feeling well, go back to your room and rest early." "Okay." Lan Wanru didn't say anything else. He couldn't understand Di Junbai's expression. He turned and left the study. In the bungalow. Old Madam seems to be in a good mood today. She must be in a good mood to eat with the young master. Aunt Wang stood behind and massaged Yu Songhuan's shoulders. Yu Songhuan, who was enjoying it with his eyes closed, seemed to be in a good mood. "What do you think of Wanru being my daughter-in-law?" "Old Madam's taste is definitely right," Aunt Wang said with a smile. "That child's health isn't good. If she's healthy, it'll be great. However, even if her body isn't that healthy, there won't be a problem with giving birth. I think Wanru will feel better eating with Haotian, Yu Songhuan said. That's for sure. Maybe Miss Lan has a mental illness, Aunt Wang said. What do you mean? Anyone can tell that Miss Lan likes the young master. Old Madam is worried that her health isn't good. Actually, if she's with the young master, she might be able to recover completely. Yu Songhuan nodded in agreement. Then there's nothing to worry about. Aunt Wang asked hesitantly, but will the young master divorce the young madam? Today, she met Tang Bao in the restaurant. Haotian didn't treat her well either. I think divorce is only a matter of time, Yu Songhuan said with certainty. In the morning, Tang Bao came out of his room and glanced at the room next door. Then, he went downstairs and entered the dining room. Along the way, he did not see any Di Haotian people. Needless to say, Di Haotian had not returned home all night. Was she always with Lan Wanru? Tang Bao did not know what was the point of staying in the castle and wondering where Di Haotian would be every day. This castle wasn't hers. There was no reason for Di Haotian not to come back because he didn't want to see her. Or should she wait for Di Haotian to bring another woman back? Therefore, after having breakfast, Tang Bao went back to her room, packed a few clothes, carried her backpack, and went downstairs. Young madam, what are you doing? Zhang Li asked. Back to my parents' home. But, isn't there no one in the Tang family? Zhang Li whispered as he looked at Tang Bao's expression. There will be someone when I go back. Tang Bao took 2 steps forward and stopped. He turned around and said to Zhang Li, if Di Haotian comes back, tell him that I don't have to stay here if he doesn't want to see me. That way, he won't have to stay out all night. Tang Bao did not wait for Zhang Li to come back to his senses. He left without looking back. Zhang Li was stunned. These 2 people were arguing just like that? Did they dislike living here that much? This was a castle. How many people wanted to stay here for a night? Tang Bao pushed her luggage to the door, threw her backpack on the sofa, and sat down. Wan Malay walked to the luggage and glanced at it. He asked, Are you running away from home? You don't have to persuade me. You don't have to say how well Di Haotian treated me in the past. People change. Since he humiliated me so much, I might as well not see anything. Anyway, even if he says that he wants a divorce, I can only accept my fate. Wan Malay asked curiously, I didn't intend to persuade you. Tang Bao looked at her. Judging from the way we were at dinner yesterday, of course I'm on your side. Do you still need to ask? But don't you think that I was wrong in the first place? Even if you were at fault, it's Di Haotian's fault for not disciplining you well. It's his fault. Are you going to stay at my place? Wan Malay asked. Before Tang Bao could say anything, Wan Malay sat down beside Tang Bao and prepared to persuade him earnestly. Tang Bao, let me tell you, it's not that I don't want you to stay, but I just think that you should go back to the Tang family and accompany your father. Really, a married daughter is like spilled water, but you don't want it to become ice water, right? You're talking so much nonsense. Aren't you just saying that you don't want me to stay at your place? Tang Bao looked at Wan Malay from the corner of his eyes. Actually, that's not what I mean. Fine, I just don't want you to stay at my place, Wan Malay said with certainty. Tang Bao grabbed Wan Malay's collar and hit him. President Tang, please spare me. Someone come. President Tang is going to kill me. Tang Bao's fist fell in the air and he stared at her. I haven't done anything yet. Why are you screaming? Do you think I can still scream when you do it? At this moment, Tang Bao's phone rang. Tang Bao was stunned. Why aren't you picking it up? Maybe it's young Master D, Wan Malay said. Why is it him? His wife has already run away. Do you really think he's not anxious? Tang Bao thought, could it be that her judgment was wrong? She didn't think that Di Haotian would call her. However, she still had some expectations in her heart. However, when she got the phone in her hand, she understood that the greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. However, the person who called was one of the culprits who caused the conflict between her and Di Haotian. She took the phone and walked outside to answer it. What's the matter? I saw the photos on the internet. I wanted to explain it to you personally, but I didn't want something like this to happen again, so I called you. The reason why Tang Bao used to like Di Junbai so much was because he was gentle and elegant. No matter what he did, he would consider her feelings. Even at this time, his words always made her feel comfortable. I don't know why this happened either. Do you know who did it? Tang Bao asked. Sorry, I didn't find out. I heard from Wanru that you and my brother aren't on good terms now. Is it because of the photos on the internet? Di Junbai asked. Something like that. I'll explain it to him. No need, Tang Bao said immediately. Why? Even if there's really nothing, the situation at that time was indeed that of hugging. With Di Haotian's domineering personality, he definitely won't accept it. Don't go. I'll solve it myself. Actually, this wasn't the main reason, Tang Bao said. Instead, it was Di Haotian's anger and the child. She even said that she didn't want the child because of Di Junbai. Therefore, no matter how Di Junbai explained, it was useless. The more he explained, the worse it would get. Can you solve it? Di Junbai asked. Yes. Don't worry, I'm fine. Tang Bao, will I never see you again? Di Junbai was silent for a moment and asked. Chapter 347. Tang Bao said impulsively in his heart. Do you really want to eat together? Aren't you afraid of another misunderstanding? Di Junbai asked. What's there to be afraid of? It's settled then. Tang Bao hung up the phone after he finished speaking. His face was still filled with anger. Why could Di Haotian bring a woman home, but she couldn't eat with Di Junbai? Di Haotian could be angry with her, but what did he mean by being with Lan Wanru? Or did he always want something to happen with Lan Wanru? At noon, Di Junbai's car appeared at the entrance of the company on time. Tang Bao saw it and was about to walk over when Zhou Jisen's voice came from behind him. President Tang, are you going out to eat? Is there a problem? Tang Bao turned around and looked at him. Of course there's no problem. But I thought you were going out to eat with young Master Di. It seems like that's not the case. Tang Bao cursed silently. Would Di Haotian's car be so insensitive? She didn't believe that Zhou Jisen couldn't tell. He said that on purpose. Do you want to tell Di Haotian? Tang Bao asked. Of course not. I'll pretend that I didn't see it. Zhou Jisen smiled mysteriously and left. Tang Bao thought about what he said. Why did he say it as if there was something going on between her and Di Junbai? It was just a meal. If he wanted to misunderstand, so be it. Tang Bao got into Di Junbai's car. The two of them went to the restaurant to eat. After entering the door, they found a seat by the window and sat down. It's my treat. Order whatever you want to eat, Di Junbai said with a smile. Okay. Tang Bao took the menu and ordered from the waiter. Di Junbai looked at Tang Bao carefully. What's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that? Tang Bao asked. You seem to have lost weight? Managing a company will definitely be tiring, Tang Bao said guiltily. About the photos, I still have to apologize to you in person. If I hadn't come to you that day, nothing would have happened, Di Junbai said. You really can't find anything? Tang Bao asked. I didn't find anything, but if you want to know, I'll think of another way, Di Junbai said. Tang Bao nodded. I also want to know who wants to harm me. Brother Junbai, I'm counting on you. Please what? It's all because of me that you're in such a difficult situation. I'm just doing what I should do. Di Junbai smiled. In fact, the reason why Tang Bao and Di Junbai came for dinner was because of the photos on the internet. If she found out who did it, she would slap him to death. At that time, she would have more confidence to explain herself to Di Haotian with the evidence, right? She still hoped that he would not misunderstand her. The child's matter and Di Junbai's matter could not be mixed together at all. And for Di Haotian, which one was more important? Tang Bao felt that both were important. He walked into the office and glanced at Di Haotian, who was buried in work. He hesitated for a moment and said, "Young master, young madam is having dinner with Di Junbai." Di Haotian's expression could not be seen, but the atmosphere in the air suddenly dropped like the cold air. Then Di Haotian slowly raised his face, his eyes malicious. The veins on the back of his hand bulged and twisted because of the force. It was especially terrifying. Then, in the next second, he violently swept all the documents and computers on the table to the ground, making a bang sound. The computers were all broken. After dinner, Tang Bao returned to the company. When he walked into the office, Wan Malay came up to him. "You really had dinner with Di Junbai? Why can't I?" "Of course you can." Tang Bao sighed and said, "Di Haotian and I have quarreled like this. I'm afraid we won't be able to get back together." "Why do you say that?" "It's normal for couples to quarrel. It's just a Cold War now. After the Cold War, it will be a passionate love affair." Wan Malay thought of Di Haotian's domineering and strong attitude and felt that the two of them would still reconcile. Tang Bao did not say anything. That was because Wan Malay did not know the seriousness of the matter. If he knew, it would be hard for anyone to say anything. After work, Tang Bao went straight back to the Tang family. She understood Wan Malay's intentions very well. She wanted Tang Bao to be alone and then attract Di Haotian's attention. In fact, if Di Haotian really cared, he would know that she had dinner with Di Junbai in the afternoon and take action. And Di Haotian did nothing. This meant that there was really no possibility of her and Di Haotian going back to the way they were before. Sleeping at night, Tang Bao still had the window open. She wanted to look at the starry sky outside, but she could only see the shadows of tree branches hitting the wall. It was a little scary. It was indeed a little abnormal for her to sleep with the window open on such a cold day. Tang Bao tossed and turned in bed. It was not that she could not sleep because of the cold, but because she could not sleep because she was frustrated. She got up and got out of bed to close the window. Just as she was about to close the window, her hand paused and she looked at the tree not far away. It always reminded her of Di Haotian, who used to stand there, looking at her, guarding her, and the phone calls that he did not hang up all night. What was Di Haotian doing now? Would he still remember everything he did to her? Or was it that he was engraved in her heart by a warm person, but a warm person easily forgot? A gust of cold wind blew on Tang Bao's face and brought her back to reality. Why was she still thinking about these things? No matter how beautiful they were all just memories. Perhaps the beautiful memories would never come back. She closed the window. Tang Bao went back to bed. She thought that she would get hotter as she slept, but in the end she curled up and curled up. It was hot no matter how she slept in the castle. Was she so cold in the Tang family? In the end, Tang Bao grabbed her feet with both hands. Her hands were hotter than her feet, so she just covered her feet and closed her eyes to sleep. But it was so quiet that she could not fall asleep. 10 minutes later, Tang Bao removed her feet, picked up the phone on the bedside table, and dialed a number. "What is it?" Wan Malay's voice came through. "I want to invite you to the bar." "What? Now?" Wan Malay raised her voice. "Yes, now." An hour later, the two of them dressed up and ran to the bar. Although it was winter, the men and women in the bar were wearing very little. It was almost like summer. Tang Bao and Wan Malay wrapped themselves in thick coats as if they had gone to the wrong place. After sitting down, Wan Malay suggested, "Let's take off our outer clothes. It feels like we're in a zoo." "I like your analogy." As Tang Bao spoke, she and Wan Malay took off their coats and threw them aside. "Okay, now we're all animals." The waiter came over. "What would you like to drink?" "Fruit plate, snacks and wine." "Champagne," Tang Bao said. "Why do you want champagne? Why not other things? What are you celebrating?" After the waiter left, Wan Malay was very confused about Tang Bao's brain. Chapter 348. Wan Malay was speechless. Because compared to before, Tang Bao was indeed much freer. Di Haotian did not allow her to enter the bar at all. Now, she could enter without any hindrance or fear. However, Wan Malay was still a little scared. After all, Di Haotian did not divorce Tang Bao. Tang Bao was still Di Haotian's man. Di Haotian was such a strong man. Would he allow Tang Bao to be so presumptuous? However, if Tang Bao's presumptuousness could make Di Haotian appear, it would be a good thing, right? It was better than ignoring each other. Therefore, Wan Malay began to indulge her. After the waiter brought the wine, Wan Malay said, "How can one bottle be enough?" "That's right. Why did you give me a bottle?" Tang Bao asked the waiter in confusion. "Sorry, how many bottles do you need?" Tang Bao stretched out 5 slender fingers, meaning 5 bottles. Wan Malay swallowed and did not speak. The waiter turned around to get the wine. "Wait a minute." Tang Bao stopped him. "I want a male model." Wan Malay was speechless. "How many?" "2. Please wait a moment. I'll arrange it right away." After the waiter finished speaking, he looked meaningfully at Tang Bao and Wan Malay before leaving. Wan Malay wiped the sweat off her forehead. Wasn't she helping the evildoer? Not only did she ask for wine, but she also wanted a male model. Tang Bao was quite fun. "Why are you looking at me? It's not the first time we've asked for a male model." Tang Bao glanced at Wan Malay and said. Wan Malay thought, indeed. However, she was caught by Di Haotian last time. The shadow was still there. Not long after, the male model arrived. Dressed in sexy, tight-fitting black clothes, they sat down beside Tang Bao and Wan Malay. "Handsome, let me help you pour the wine." After Tang Bao finished speaking, he eagerly helped to pour the wine. He didn't expect the male model to be such a beautiful girl. This was probably the best deal he had ever received. "How can I let a beauty fall? I'll do it." The male model grabbed the bottle. When her hand touched Tang Bao's hand, she felt that the small hand was especially soft and fair in the dark. Tang Bao poured wine for him. After he was done, he clinked glasses with the male model and demanded, "Drink up." The male model drank all the wine in his glass. The Tang Bao also finished it. Then, the male model continued to pour wine for her. He downed another cup of Tang Bao. The male model poured the wine for her and asked, "Aren't you afraid of getting drunk if you drink like this? If you're drunk, won't you have a better chance?" Tang Bao nudged him with his elbow. The male model smiled a little embarrassedly. Tang Bao's heart fluttered. Wan Malay looked at Tang Bao with a speechless face. She knocked on the glass and said, "Baby, let's have a drink." "Oh, I almost forgot about you. Drink." After Tang Bao said that, he tilted his neck and drank the wine. Wan Malay took a sip. Tang Bao saw this and said, "What are you doing? Drink it all. Otherwise, I won't drink with you." Wan Malay had no choice but to drink the rest of the wine in the glass. She thought to herself that she must not get drunk. Otherwise, when Di Haotian didn't appear, and the two of them were so drunk that even their parents wouldn't recognize them, wouldn't something happen to them in such an environment where wolves, tigers, and leopards were everywhere? If she was sober, there was still a chance to save her. Wan Malay looked around as she drank. She wanted to find He Ju. If He Ju appeared, then Di Haotian wouldn't be far away. However, she didn't see He Ju. She only saw many men staring at Tang Bao with covetous eyes. After 3 rounds of drinking, Tang Bao was already drunk. His face was red and his eyes were wandering. Fortunately, Wan Malay was sober. "Tang Bao, do you want to go back? The bar is closed." Wan Malay wanted to snatch the wine glass in Tang Bao's hand. "I don't want to go back." Tang Bao's hand shook and more than half of the wine in the glass spilled. He didn't realize it and continued to say drunkenly, "Don't think that I know that the bar doesn't close until after midnight. Haha, I saw through you, didn't I?" Although he said that he was drunk, he wasn't confused. "But you're drunk now. Let's go back." "Stay at my place," Wan Malay said. "I don't want to stay at your place." Tang Bao's hand shook again. There was still a third of the wine left in the glass. "Didn't you say that you don't want me to stay? Let me tell you, unless you punish yourself by drinking 3 glasses, I won't go with you." He. Tang Bao laughed foolishly. I'll get drunk too if I drink more. How will I clean up then? Wan Malay said to the male model next to him, You guys go down first. We don't need you here. Aren't you going to stay for the night? The male model asked. Wan Malay stared and almost kicked him. What night? The male model wanted to stand up and leave. Tang Bao saw this and immediately urged him to stay. He even hugged the male model with both arms. You're not allowed to leave. The male model sat there and didn't leave. He let Tang Bao throw himself into his arms. It made his heart itch. He said gently, I'm not leaving. Wan Malay almost fainted. Let's continue drinking. After Tang Bao finished speaking, he drank the wine in his glass. He didn't drink it. Hey, where's the wine I poured just now? Why is it gone? I drank it? Pour it again. Wan Malay directly took the wine bottle away. Tang Bao looked at her in confusion and asked in confusion, What are you doing? Give the wine back to me. Baby, you're already drunk. I can't let you drink anymore. Wan Malay was determined not to give it to him. Tang Bao's expression suddenly became gloomy. He lowered his head. Malay, can't you let me drink? If I still feel uncomfortable, doesn't it mean that I'm not drunk yet? You're drunk. What if you're awake? Won't you still feel uncomfortable? Wan Malay softened and said with heartache. At least let me get drunk for a while now. It's good for a while. You don't know how bitter my heart is. I really didn't want to abort the child on purpose. I had no choice. Tang Bao said and started crying. What did you say? Tang Bao's words were clear. Wan Malay was sure that she didn't hear wrong. Tang Bao didn't say anything. He grabbed the wine bottle and poured himself some wine. His hands were weak and swaying. Half of the wine was poured into the glass, and the other half spilled on the table. Wan Malay looked at Tang Bao with mixed feelings. She had asked Tang Bao before. How did the child suddenly go missing? Tang Bao didn't say anything. Wan Malay didn't ask again. Could it be that Tang Bao aborted the child himself? That was impossible, right? First of all, Tang Bao wasn't so cruel. Second of all, Tang Bao was in a good mood because he was pregnant. No matter what, she wouldn't abort the child, right? Or was there another reason? Did Di Haotian ask her to abort the child? No, it didn't seem like it. What the hell is going on here? Handsome, why are you only watching me drink? Why aren't you drinking? Tang Bao turned around and focused on the male model next to him, as if he hadn't said anything. If I'm drunk, how can I take care of you? The male model said gently. Tang Bao felt comfortable when he heard that. The smile on his face deepened. Chapter 349. Di Haotian sat there, his hawk-like black eyes looking down at the scene below, the scene of Tang Bao flirting with the male model. His chiseled face seemed to be covered with a thick layer of frost, and his aura was so terrifying that no one dared to approach him. Tang Bao was completely unaware and was still flirting with the male model. How do you want to take care of me? Tang Bao asked. You can take care of me however you want. The male model's face was very close. Tang Bao smiled, raised the wine glass in her hand and asked, I can't drink anymore. Help me drink. Okay. The male model took her glass and drank all the wine. Wan Malay went forward to pull Tang Bao away. If she didn't pull him away, she didn't know what would happen. Come with me. I don't want to. Tang Bao shook off her hand. What's wrong with you? I asked you to drink with me, but you didn't. Fortunately, there's a handsome young man here. Otherwise, wouldn't I be drinking alone? Wan Mirai almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This person was really a drunkard. If something really happened, she would regret it to death when she sobered up. The male model was also very impatient with Wan Malay's behavior at this time. He said, Since you're friends, shouldn't you do what's best for you? What does she want to do? Just go along with her. Won't that be fine? Wan Malay's face turned purple with anger. What did he mean by what she wanted to do? I don't know what she wanted to do, but I can tell at a glance what you want to do. Isn't it just that you want to take advantage of a beauty? You're right. Let me tell you, sometimes this friend of mine is really inconsiderate. Tang Bao and the male model echoed each other. Wan Milei was so angry that she wanted to flip the table. Then let's ignore her. I'll play with you, the male model said as he touched Tang Bao's hand, but his eyes were fixed on his chest. Tang Bao's consciousness was slow, and she didn't realize that she was being taken advantage of. Wan Milei was about to step forward and vent his anger. The male model's hand was clamped and twisted forcefully. The sound of bones dislocating could be heard. Ah! The male model screamed miserably, his face twisted in pain. Everyone present was startled by this sudden development. When Wan Milei saw who it was, he felt relieved. When Tang Bao saw Di Haotian's dark face, he became much more clear-headed. Then, Di Haotian loosened his grip and the male model was thrown out of his position by Di Haotian's powerful arm. He fell to the ground and twisted in pain. It caused quite a stir in the bar, but Di Haotian's aura was terrifying. Some people recognized Di Haotian's identity and hid far away, not daring to provoke him. Di Haotian stared coldly at Tang Bao. Tang Bao turned her face away and didn't look at him. The next second, Di Haotian grabbed her wrist and pulled her out of the bar. Didn't you say that you don't care about me? What do you mean by this? Tang Bao couldn't get rid of his grip. Her wrist hurt. It hurts. Let go. I don't want you to care about me. Di Haotian let go and grabbed Tang Bao's face. His cold face approached, and his dark eyes seemed to pierce into her soul. Listen to me. Even if you are worthless to me, you are mine in life and in death. You can't escape from my control in this lifetime. You mean we can't go back to how we were before, and I can't find anyone else? Tang Bao asked bitterly. Di Haotian looked at her viciously. Try it. If I'm looking for someone else, what's yours? You brought a woman back to the castle, and even had a meal with Lan Wanru. You ignored me. You're too much. Tang Bao's eyes overflowed with tears, but she stubbornly held them back. Didn't you and Di Junbai have a better time eating? Didn't you get what you wanted without me around? Di Haotian tightened his grip. Tang Bao felt that her jaw was about to break. She endured the sadness and pain and said, Then aren't we even? We don't owe each other anything. I can, but you can't. Do you understand? Di Haotian said forcefully. His eyes turned ruthless, and he threw Tang Bao, who was in a daze, into the car rudely. Tang Bao fell into the seat. The alcohol in her head made her even dizzier. However, Di Haotian's words made her feel even more bitterly disappointed. The car door closed, and the car left the bar. Tang Bao raised her eyes and looked at the night view outside the car window. It was clear yet blurry. When the car arrived at the destination, Di Haotian rudely dragged Tang Bao out of the car again. Tang Bao's wrist hurt. However, she was stunned when she saw that the place where they got off was actually the Tang family's house. She thought that Di Haotian was taking her back to the castle. He only let go of her when he dragged her all the way back to the hall. Di Haotian was expressionless and heartless. Since you like living here so much, I'll fulfill your wish. Tang Bao's tears still fell uncontrollably. Her eyes were hazy with tears, but Di Haotian's indifference was still clearly conveyed. I don't know how much anger the matter of the child has caused you to treat me like this. However, if this makes you feel better, I won't say anything. I just want to ask, can we go back to the past? Tang Bao asked. Every line on Di Haotian's face was tense and extremely cold. Finally, he said, Don't mention the past to me. After that, he turned around and left. Tang Bao stood there in a daze. She was stunned for a few seconds before her tears fell freely. She cried as if there was no one else around. Di Haotian got into the car and leaned against the back seat. His heart felt like it was about to split open, making it difficult for him to breathe. His breathing was heavy and oppressive. He seemed to have heard Tang Bao's cries. Di Haotian's black eyes were a little red. He pushed the door open, got out of the car, and walked into the house. However, when he reached the door, his footsteps stopped. If he went in now, would everything that Tang Bao had done be forgiven? Di Junbai and his child, would everything be forgiven? Everything that he had done to possess Tang Bao was like a joke. When had Di Haotian been played like this? He would never let anyone who dared to do that see the sun rise the next day. Di Haotian's heart was forced to harden. He turned around and left. Tang Bao walked to the door. The car outside was driving away from the gate. No matter how she urged him to stay, no matter how much she cried, Di Haotian would not care about her. Had she really reached the end of the road with Di Haotian? Tang Bao, who was drunk and had slept all night and early in the morning, was sleeping soundly under the quilt. There was no sign of her waking up at all. Wan Malay could smell the alcohol in the room when she walked in. Tang Bao? Tang Bao! Wake up! Wan Malay walked to the bed and pushed Tang Bao. Tang Bao only responded with an and did not move. Chapter 350. Tang Bao shrunk his neck and continued to sleep. Damn, he really can sleep. Wan Malay walked to the window and pulled the curtains open. The sunlight immediately shone in. What are you doing? Tang Bao immediately pulled the blanket over his head. Wan Malay walked over and pulled the blanket down again. I said, are you still not getting up? Tang Bao said impatiently, why should I get up? Have breakfast with me. Aren't you hungry? I'm on a diet. Go eat by yourself. Tang Bao still wanted to drill his head into the blanket. If you don't get up, I'll lift all your blankets, Wan Malay threatened. Tang Bao was unmoved. Wan Malay glanced at her and didn't continue to shake her. Instead, he asked calmly, why did you want to abort the child? Tang Bao's long eyelashes fluttered and his eyes slowly opened. Do you still remember what you said when you were drunk last night? Wan Malay asked. Tang Bao's thoughts returned to what she said when she was drinking last night. What did she say? She always had symptoms of indirect memory loss after drinking. How could she remember what she said? Are you awake? If you're awake, say something. Tang Bao sat up from the blanket. What do you want me to say? I was curious at the beginning. Why did you abort the child under the young master's careful care? You didn't say anything when I asked you. Did you abort the child yourself? Wan Malay asked. If you understand it that way, then I understand. Tang Bao put on his clothes, got out of bed, and walked to the bathroom. Wan Malay chased after him. Are you out of your mind? Why don't you want the child? Don't tell me you aborted the child for no reason. I don't believe it. Tang Bao turned around. His face was full of unconcealable scars. Can you stop asking me? Di Haotian and you fought like this because he found out that you aborted the child? In other words, he had no idea that you aborted the child? But how was the baby aborted? Wan Malay asked. Tang Bao remained silent. Di Haotian thought that Wan Malay was the one who gave her the medicine, and Wan Malay knew nothing about it. Does this count as a loophole in the whole thing? She was worried that Wan Malay would ask Di Haotian about it. Tang Bao sighed wearily and said, I took the medicine, and then the baby was gone. What medicine did you take? Haven't you been staying in the castle all this time? Where did you get the medicine? Wan Malay asked in confusion. Di Haotian thinks you bought the medicine for me. Wan Malay looked at Tang Bao in disbelief. He suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. Because at that time, only Di Haotian's mother, Lan Wanru, and you went to look for me. And the other two people would not buy the medicine for me. Only you could do that. Wan Malay patted his chest and said, should I feel like I escaped death? Di Haotian didn't kill me? That's not right. I know very well whether I bought the medicine or not. If I didn't buy it, then who did? Lan Wanru, right? She has been harboring ill intentions towards you. It's not her, Tang Bao said. If only it was Lan Wanru. Then she wouldn't have had to hide it so hard and fight with Di Haotian to this extent. Then who is it? Di Haotian's mother? That's impossible. She's pregnant with her own grandson. She wouldn't buy the medicine for you, Juan Malay said. Tang Bao lowered his gaze. Juan Malay would think this way. In fact, everyone would think this way. How could a grandmother harm her own grandson? She gave me the medicine, Tang Bao said. Who? Juan Malay didn't understand for a moment. Di Haotian's mother? Why? Is she crazy? That's her grandson. Juan Malay was angry. Yes, but she gave me the birth control pill from the beginning. I took the pill for a week. When I went to the hospital and found out that I was pregnant, the child was already more than a month old. In other words, when Di Haotian's mother gave me the medicine, I was already pregnant, and the medicine was absorbed by the child. I couldn't have the child at all. Tang Bao recalled all the things that happened before, and his face was a little pale. So, this is the truth? So, Di Haotian didn't know anything at all? Juan Malay asked. If he knew, why did it become like this? Tang Bao was innocent. What can I do? Should I let Di Haotian hate his mother? Then wouldn't I hate him even more? Di Haotian only has one relative. I don't want their relationship to be strained because of me, Tang Bao said weakly. I don't agree. Why should you bear all this alone? Juan Malay was so angry that she wanted to hit him. Is that woman crazy? Giving you the birth control pill? Since you did something wrong, you should bear the consequences. Even if you're not pregnant, can you take that kind of medicine casually? It's also harmful to the body. She only cared about the D family. Why didn't she think about you? In the end, you still want to hide it for her? I'll go look for the young master now. Millet. Tang Bao pulled her, his eyes hot. Millet, I didn't tell you at the beginning because I was afraid that you would go look for Di Haotian. But Millet, you know me the best, don't you? You know how regretful I was after losing my family. I hate that I can't turn back time. Even now, I still feel guilty towards my father. I don't want Di Haotian to be like me. You understand what I mean. I know you regret it, but you can't let yourself suffer so much for Di Haotian. Juan Malay felt that it was not worth it for her. And it was for such a shrewd woman. I just want to wait for his anger to subside. What if he doesn't subside? You were the one who made the decision to abort the child. Which man would be willing to accept such a big thing? During that time, the intimate photos of you and Di Junbai were posted on the internet. Who in the D city doesn't know about Di Haotian's cruelty? You're still alive and well. You're the only person who's still alive after offending Di Haotian. I really feel that you burned incense in your previous life. Tang Bao obviously knew Di Haotian's character. So when the truth was found out, Tang Bao was extremely scared. But in the end, Di Haotian said that she had taken a bullet for him. Such heartless words pierced her heart like needles. Tang Bao would rather be treated cruelly by Di Haotian. Millet, if you're really doing this for my own good, can you pretend that you don't know? Tang Bao begged. This is for your own good? Where are you? Juan Millet asked back. Di Haotian and his mother fell out. Can I be happy by Di Haotian's side? Millet, can you think for me? Juan Millet was extremely annoyed. If she didn't think for her, why would she be in such a hurry to find Di Haotian? Tang Bao was more wronged than anything now. Actually, it doesn't matter whether Di Haotian knows the truth or not. What matters is his attitude. Perhaps this marriage was a mistake from the beginning. Tang Bao lowered her gaze weakly. Chapter 351. Juan Millet opened her mouth but didn't say anything. Because it was indeed a mistake in the beginning. The person Tang Bao wanted to marry was Di Junbai, but in the end, it became Di Haotian. It was a mistake. However, the other party was Di Haotian, who no one dared to offend. So, it was a mistake to the end. However, was it really a mistake? Di Haotian's love and presumptuousness towards Tang Bao had always been straightforward and domineering. Juan Millet felt like she had entered the wrong wedding hall but married the right person. So, don't tell her that it was a mistake. If it was a mistake, why did she smile like a flower in the past? In her marriage, Tang Bao was like a princess living in a castle. Wan Malay felt that it was blissful. When the two of them were eating at the dining table, Wan Malay didn't ask about what happened last night. No matter what happened, it didn't end well. Otherwise, Tang Bao wouldn't still be living in the Tang family. She would have been brought back to the castle by Di Haotian long ago. "You're not going to the company today, right?" Wan Malay asked. Tang Bao hesitated whether to go or not. "It's better not to go. You drank so much last night and your complexion hasn't recovered yet. Rest at home for the day. Tomorrow is your rest day." "Rest enough for 3 days in a row," Wan Malay said. "All right, I'll rest well. My head hurts after drinking." "You'll drink again next time. By the way, did you pay for the male model?" Tang Bao asked. Then, she remembered that Di Haotian's prices had suddenly dropped and said, "Give me some medical fees too?" "You remember?" Wan Malay was surprised. "I remember a little. Does this mean that the young master still cares about you?" "Look, you went to drink and look for a male model, and the young master appeared. If he didn't care, he wouldn't have cared about you at all." Tang Bao didn't say anything. However, she remembered everything that Di Haotian said to her last night. It wasn't because he cared, but because of Di Haotian's innate possessiveness. What did he mean by he could look for her, but she couldn't? It was completely unreasonable. Wan Malay saw that Tang Bao did not say anything and did not look too good. It must be because the final result was not good. After breakfast, Wan Malay went to the company. When Wan Malay came, he brought her a backpack. Tang Bao curled up on the sofa and took out his phone. There were no messages, so he put it aside. "I want to watch some TV." However, the pain in her head made her uncomfortable, so she ran back to her room to sleep. After lunch, he continued to sleep in the afternoon. The Tang Bao slept for almost an entire day. Her skin was white and tender from sleeping. The next day, Tang Bao only woke up at noon. The first thing he did was check his phone. It was as if her phone was broken. No one was looking for her. However, there was a sense of loss in his heart. Tang Bao wondered what she was disappointed about. Was she still hoping that Di Haotian would look for her? She would not be welcomed even if she took the initiative to look for him. She was thinking too much. Just as she was lost in her thoughts, her phone rang, and the vibration made her hand tremble. When he saw the caller ID, Tang Bao was stunned and picked up the call. "Have you eaten?" Di Junbai's gentle voice came from the other end. "I'm about to eat." Tang Bao did not say that he had just woken up. "Then go eat first. I'll call you after you're done." "What's the matter?" Tang Bao asked. "I found out about the photos posted online." "Where are you now?" "I think it's better to talk in person," Di Junbai said solemnly. "Why don't you come to the Tang house?" "I'm in my own house now," Tang Bao said. There was a car at home, but she did not know how to drive it. "Are you free now?" "Then I'll come over now." Tang Bao hung up the phone and was in a daze. Listening to Di Junbai's tone, it seemed that this matter was more complicated than she had imagined. Otherwise, Di Junbai would not have asked to meet her. Or was it that she did not expect the person who posted the photos? There was a knock on the door, and the servant's voice came from outside. "Miss Tang, lunch is ready. I have a guest coming." "Wait a little longer," Tang Bao said. She did not know if Di Junbai had eaten. If not, he could eat here. There was nothing inconvenient in the Tang house. Moreover, she was the one who asked Di Junbai to come over. She could not let him eat on an empty stomach. Half an hour later, Di Junbai's car drove into the villa. Di Junbai got out of the car alone. Tang Bao looked at him from afar. Actually, with Di Junbai's status and qualifications, he could totally hire a chauffeur. However, ever since she met him, he had always been driving by himself. This showed that he was a very down-to-earth person and made people feel at ease. "You were standing at the door waiting for me?" "I'm flattered," Di Junbai said jokingly. Tang Bao glanced at the laptop in Di Junbai's hand and did not ask directly. Instead, he said, "Have you eaten?" "No." "Then I'll treat you to a meal," Tang Bao said. "I couldn't ask for more." Di Junbai raised his eyebrows and smiled. After putting down the laptop, Di Junbai and Tang Bao went to the restaurant to eat. If you had called me earlier, I would have asked someone to prepare a few more dishes, Tang Bao said embarrassedly. Why are you treating me like an outsider? It's not like you don't know that I'm not picky about food, Di Junbai said. Tang Bao smiled. Indeed, when the two of them met for dinner in the past, it was always Di Junbai who accommodated her. It made her think that Di Junbai had a crush on her and just did not say it out loud. Perhaps Di Junbai was born to be such a gentleman and treated everyone like this. She was thinking too much. She was overthinking. That was why the series of events that followed. After the two of them finished eating, they returned to the hall. The servant served the tea and stood not far away. Di Junbai glanced at the servant. Tang Bao understood and said, "There's nothing for you to do here. You can leave." Yes. The servant left the hall. Tang Bao looked at Di Junbai and asked, "What's wrong?" "There are some things that are better left unknown to others." Di Junbai paused and looked at Tang Bao. He asked, "Are you going to stay here forever? It's normal for two people to quarrel. How are you going to resolve this mess?" "Do you think it's my fault? That I'm throwing a tantrum?" Di Junbai shook his head. "In my eyes, you're the most adorable girl. You always have been. But other people don't think so. Now they all see me as a thorn in their side. In my opinion, you're really being wronged. Actually, before I called you, I hesitated for a long time. Now it seems that you don't need to be wronged," Di Junbai said. "Brother Junbai, do you have something to say to me?" Tang Bao asked. "I found a hacker and checked the account that first posted the photos online. And this account is one that I'm familiar with." After Di Junbai finished speaking, he turned on his computer and found the account. After he clicked on it, he turned the computer screen to Tang Bao and showed her. "This is a string of English. I don't understand it," Tang Bao said awkwardly. "This is an internal account of T Group. Only one person used this account before," Di Junbai said. Chapter 352. My brother. Tang Bao was stunned for a few seconds. After a long while, he finally spoke. His throat was tight. "Your brother, Di Haotian? No. Impossible." Tang Bao stood up agitatedly. "How could he be the one who posted this? He hates it when I interact with you. Why would he do this? When I first found out, I didn't quite believe it either. But this account isn't used by anyone else, and the people in the company wouldn't dare to use his account to do such a despicable thing," Di Junbai said. Tang Bao felt unwell all over. He paced back and forth helplessly. He racked his brains but still couldn't figure out why Di Haotian would post such a photo online. Did Di Haotian get someone to follow her? And then take such a photo behind her back? So in the past, no matter where she went, Di Haotian would know. Was it also because she was being monitored? But that wasn't right. What was Di Haotian's purpose for doing this? To deliberately find a reason to dump her? However, if Di Haotian didn't want her, did he need to find a reason? His orders were the reason. Tang Bao rushed in front of Di Junbai and anxiously grabbed Di Junbai's arm. He asked, "Could it be that the investigation was wrong? I don't understand why Di Haotian would do this. What's in it for him? Could it be that he was too disappointed about the loss of the child that caused him to do this?" Di Junbai said without missing a beat. Tang Bao's body froze. Even his blood froze. He let go of Di Junbai's arm and staggered back. His face was pale. Could it be because of this? Because she didn't save the child, Di Haotian was too disappointed in her, and then used such a method to ignore her? Could it be? Di Junbai saw that she was shocked and comforted her. This kind of thing isn't absolute. Maybe someone really is using my brother's account to do something behind the scenes. Tang Bao turned and asked, "Who do you think it is?" Di Junbai could not name that person. When Tang Bao saw that he could not say anything, he felt even more depressed. "Tang Bao, I'll check again. Maybe there are other reasons." Di Junbai did not want to see her like this. What else could they find out? Tang Bao did not say that he would investigate, but he did not say that he would not investigate either. He only said, "Brother Junbai, do you have other things to do? Go and do your work." "Are you all right?" Di Junbai frowned at her. Tang Bao shook his head. "I can't be safer if I stay in the Tang family. Nothing will happen to me. Besides, I want to think about this matter alone. I'm in a mess right now. All right, call me if you need anything. Don't make me worry." "Yes, I will." Di Junbai took his laptop and left. Tang Bao sat down on the sofa, but her heart could not calm down. The more she thought about it, the more she felt that something was wrong. Why did the maid happen to see her taking the medicine? Why did Di Haotian not investigate when such a thing happened? Was it really because he did it that there was no need to investigate? But the maid saw her taking the medicine, not Di Haotian. Or was this just the fuse? Tang Bao could not understand. She hugged her head with both hands and her heart was cold. Could it be that Di Haotian had spread the photos? Why that night, Tang Bao walked out of the bathroom after taking a shower. She heard her phone ring. She immediately walked over and picked up the phone. It was an unfamiliar number. She answered, "Who is this?" "It's me. Lan Wanru?" Tang Bao was very surprised. "You seem very surprised." "You don't have to be. There's something even more surprising. Do you know where I am now? I'm in the castle. I'm living in the castle now. I seem to have taken your place. What should I do?" Lan Wanru's smug voice came through. "Do you think I'll believe you?" Tang Bao's chest swelled painfully. "You don't believe me? Then you can call Zhang Li right now and ask him. You can ask anyone. You can also ask my brother. He definitely knows that I'm not at home." "Really, what's there to not believe? Can this even be considered a lie?" "It's a lie." Tang Bao hung up the phone and called Di Junbai. Di Junbai's voice immediately came through. "Tang Bao, what's wrong? Is something wrong? You're at home?" "Yes." "Where's Lan Wanru? Is she at home too?" Tang Bao asked. There was a moment of silence on the other side. "Brother Junbai, you don't have to hide it from me. Is she at the castle?" "She went to the castle this morning, and hasn't come back yet." "Tang Bao, I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to know." "How did you know? Did my brother tell you?" Di Junbai asked. "Brother Junbai, I'm fine. I'm hanging up." Tang Bao? Tang Bao hung up the phone. She was so angry that her eyes were filled with tears. She smashed the phone on the ground and stomped on it. "Why did you do this to me? Why?" The screen of the phone was crushed into a spider web by Tang Bao's stomp. Tang Bao sat on the ground in defeat. I hate you, she was tired from crying on the ground. She stood up and returned to the bed. Only then did she feel cold. She felt that the entire villa was cold. Tang Bao looked at the air conditioner and realized that it wasn't on. Actually, it didn't matter whether it was on or not. She couldn't feel warm sleeping under the blanket. It had been like this recently. The bedside lamp was not switched on. Tang Bao's eyes were open but she didn't feel sleepy. There were still traces of tears on her long eyelashes. She thought that everything Di Haotian did was because he wanted to accept Lan Wanru. So, he let her stay here all this time? Tang Bao felt waves of bitterness in her heart. She couldn't help but close her eyes. It was as if that was the only way to suppress the bitterness in her heart. At this moment the door opened. Tang Bao was shocked. She immediately opened her eyes and saw Di Haotian approaching the room. His face was cold. He looked at her with a dangerous aura. Tang Bao sat up on the bed in shock. She didn't understand why Di Haotian would appear here. Was he here to look for her? But Di Haotian looked very scary. Di Haotian's sharp gaze fell on the broken phone on the ground and immediately turned hostile. "You don't like the things I gave you so much?" Di Haotian moved closer to the bed. Seeing this, Tang Bao panicked and retreated. "What are you doing here? You don't want me to appear? Or do you want another man to appear?" Di Haotian asked sinisterly. Tang Bao was extremely flustered. She felt that Di Haotian was particularly scary at this moment. She turned around and was about to run to the end of the bed, but Di Haotian quickly caught her. Ah, no. Let go of me. Tang Bao struggled, but she couldn't break free from Di Haotian's infinite strength. Di Haotian pressed Tang Bao under his body. His rough fingers clamped her chin and completely controlled every part of Tang Bao's body. Let go? I won't let go of you for the rest of my life. Di Haotian stubbornly declared his possession. Chapter 353. His heart was filled with anxiety and panic. At this moment, Di Haotian was like a beast that smelled blood, exuding danger like a black hole, especially with the smell of alcohol on his body. Tang Bao didn't know why Di Haotian was here. Wasn't Lan Wanru in the castle? What was he doing here? Was he here to humiliate her? Di Haotian, what are you trying to do? Tang Bao asked angrily and bitterly. What was he trying to do? Why did he take photos? Why did he upload them online? What did he mean by letting Lan Wanru live in the castle? What am I trying to do? Can't you see? Di Haotian exerted force in his hand. Tang Bao felt a chill in the air and froze in shock. When he understood what he was trying to do, he immediately struggled. Di Haotian, I'm not done with you. Done? Haha. Di Haotian's eyes were malicious. Tang Bao thought of Di Haotian's actions. He grabbed the teacup on the bedside table and smashed it at Di Haotian's head. However, as soon as his hand fell in the air, it was caught by Di Haotian. The strong force made Tang Bao's wrist bones hurt. He frowned and looked at Di Haotian's cold face. It was frighteningly dark. But at least Di Haotian stopped. You want to knock me out? Di Haotian's voice was low and dark. It made people's hair stand on end in this expanding air. Di Haotian, if you have something to say it nicely. Why are you using this method? Say it nicely? I didn't say it nicely with you? When you asked Di Junbai to come to the Tang family, did you expect me to appear? Di Haotian's face was cold and vicious. Tang Bao wanted to explain, but he paused in the end. The bitterness in his heart made his voice unsteady. Di Haotian, why do you have to put on an act? Actually, after I lost my child, you didn't want me anymore, did you? Di Haotian's sharp black eyes were slightly stunned as he stared at her coldly. You don't have to be so sneaky. Just tell me what you want. Even if I don't want to divorce you, I can't do anything about it. You're the king of Imperial City. No one can control you. Isn't that so? What are you talking about? Di Haotian's face was tense and cold. You know best what I'm talking about. Di Haotian did not get angry. Instead, he laughed, which made Tang Bao's hair stand on end. Do you think I'll let you go just because you said those words? Tang Bao's body went limp, and the cup in his hand fell to the side. He looked like he was completely at her mercy. Do whatever you want. That's all I can do anyway, Tang Bao said, going all out. She gathered her courage and met Di Haotian's gaze. She was betting that Di Haotian would not continue. She was trying to provoke him, and she wanted to tell Di Haotian that even if she did it, nothing would change. Tang Bao slowly withdrew her body and moved back from Di Haotian's body, away from the danger. She held her breath, afraid that she would wake the sleeping beast if she breathed too loudly. When she was completely free, Tang Bao turned around and ran away. Di Haotian's dangerous aura rang in her ears. Tang Bao was so frightened that her expression changed drastically. She did not understand what she could change by doing this. Would those things that happened disappear? Could everything go back to how it was before? No. My request is that you are not allowed to have any contact with Di Junbai anymore. I'll let you go when you promise me that. Di Haotian told her like a devil. Di Haotian did not repeat his request. In Tang Bao's remaining consciousness, she understood in hindsight that Di Haotian hoped that she would not make any promises so soon. So, he did not ask again. He was kind and did not remind her. but Tang Bao felt like she was going crazy. Di Haotian, I promise you, I won't. I won't see Di Junbai anymore, Tang Bao said. You agreed so quickly? Di Haotian's tone was disapproving. Suddenly, there was a loud bang. Di Haotian instinctively hugged Tang Bao in his arms. Tang Bao's consciousness was already scattered, and her reaction was slow, but she was slightly awakened by the sound. The next day, Tang Bao woke up on the sofa. Chapter 354. It was quiet beside her ear. She must have left. After waking up, Tang Bao lay on the sofa for a while with her eyes open. After getting used to it for a while, she slowly sat up. Even the phone on the ground that she had stepped on was still there. The phone suddenly lit up and vibrated to remind her of an incoming call. Tang Bao was stunned. She had stepped on it so badly that even the caller ID could not be seen clearly. How could it still be used? Tang Bao picked up the phone and answered, "Hello? Hello? It's me." It was Wan Malay's voice. "Oh, what's wrong?" "Nothing. It's Sunday today. I'm asking if you want to go out for a walk. Don't you feel uncomfortable being cooped up at home all the time?" "Didn't you tell me to rest at home?" Tang Bao asked back. "You haven't rested well yet?" "I'll rest for another day today. I'll go to the company tomorrow. I can still go shopping." "Okay, you're the boss. You have the final say." After hanging up the phone, Tang Bao really did not have the strength to go shopping. She felt panting after taking another step. She was so scared that she did not dare to meet Di Junbai again. It had to be said that Di Haotian's method was really outrageous. Of course, T Group was basically resting, but Di Haotian was sitting in the office. He was in the position of the highest authority. His expression was gloomy and cold, and the air was frozen. Not long after, there was a knock on the door. It was Di Junbai who came in. "Young master." Di Junbai walked in and met Di Haotian's cold hawk-like gaze. He knew that it was definitely not a good thing to call him over at this time. "Young master, what can I do for you? You went to look for Tang Bao yesterday?" Di Haotian asked unfathomably. "Yes." Di Junbai knew that this matter could not be hidden from him. So, he told him the truth. "I remember warning you before to stay away from her, right?" "Sorry, there was really a reason why I went over." "What's the reason? Tell me." Di Haotian leaned back in a dignified manner. Di Junbai was silent for a while before he said, "I wonder if young Master Di still remembers what happened in the villa that time? Even if you knew that I had sex with the Tang Bao, you still wanted the Tang Bao. If it were now, would the obsession in your heart still remain the same?" "Are you interrogating me?" Di Haotian's eyes were cold. "If you don't change, it's hard for me to understand your actions." Di Haotian raised his head and looked directly at Di Haotian. "Speak clearly." Di Junbai said, "Yesterday, I went to look for Tang Bao because Tang Bao asked me to check the photos that were circulating on the internet. Once I find out, I'll naturally tell her. Even if you and I are family, I don't want to hide it from the Tang Bao. I don't want her to be deceived." Di Haotian narrowed his eyes. "Did you investigate?" "Yes, and I found out." "If you want to do anything to me now, it's useless because the Tang Bao already knows who circulated the photos." "Who?" "You." Di Haotian's ink-black eyes narrowed slightly and exuded a biting coldness. "I found a hacker to investigate. Does this mean that I know your secret? But you shouldn't do this to the Tang Bao. If you don't want her, you can just say it." Di Haotian's dark eyes turned cold. "Even if I do something to her, you have no right to say anything." Di Junbai didn't say anything because he didn't have the confidence. Di Haotian and the Tang Bao were husband and wife, wasn't it? "Get out." Di Junbai lowered his gaze slightly and turned to leave the office. Di Haotian stayed in the office alone for half an hour. After he came out, he went straight to the bungalow. Yu Songhuan, who was about to have lunch, was stunned when he saw Di Haotian come in. "Why are you here? You haven't eaten yet, right?" You should have told me in advance that you were coming over. It's all vegetarian dishes. How are you going to eat? No need. I'm here to ask you something. Yu Sanghuan looked at Di Haotian's expression and panicked. However, he remained calm and smiled. What's so serious? Is it more important than eating? You were the one who took the photos on the internet. Yu Sanghuan's mood relaxed. She had thought that it was something else. Therefore, he directly admitted, I was the one who did it. Don't you know who the Tang Bao is? Or do you want everyone to know that my wife is hugging someone else? Di Haotian suppressed his anger and asked, Haotian, how can you say that? I'm doing this for your own good. How can you want such a woman who doesn't know how to behave and who had such a thing with Di Junbai? Yu Sanghuan really couldn't understand how his son could be so infatuated with the Tang Bao girl. He didn't even have any principles. I just want to know the truth. Di Haotian said. The photos are the truth. I'm just putting the truth in front of the public. Yu Sanghuan avoided Di Haotian's gaze and said. Di Haotian's expression was terrifyingly cold. He didn't press the issue. Instead, he said, Who took the photos? Yu Sanghuan couldn't say that he took the photos himself. He was so old and impractical. Di Haotian would never believe him. Don't ask about this anymore. If I didn't let someone take the photos, you would still be in the dark. Yu Sanghuan felt that everything he did was for the good of Di Haotian. If you don't want me to pursue this matter with you, you can just hand over this person. Yu Sanghuan was shocked and looked at Di Haotian's cold face. This was a threat. He actually threatened her for the sake of the Tang Bao? Yu Sanghuan's expression was very ugly. However, after weighing the pros and cons, she didn't want Di Haotian to hate her, so she said, It was Xiao Zhang. Xiao Zhang was Yu Sanghuan's bodyguard when he went out. Di Haotian didn't say a word. He turned around and walked out of the bungalow. He Ju ordered, Take him away. Not long after leaving the bungalow, the car stopped and Xiao Zhang was thrown out of the bodyguard's car. Xiao Zhang fell to the ground. Di Haotian's black leather shoes appeared in front of him. Do you want to confess, or do I have to torture you? Di Haotian asked condescendingly. Young master, I didn't do it on purpose. Those photos were from an angle. Young madam went shopping with her friends and then met Di Junbai. The two of them stood there and talked. Then, when a little boy was about to bump into young madam, Di Junbai pulled him away, and young madam moved closer to Di Junbai. So I took the photos. Xiao Zhang knelt on the ground, scared out of his wits. Everyone knew that when Di Haotian was ruthless, he was no different from the devil. Those who were close to him knew this even better. That's it? That little boy was arranged by me. Di Haotian raised his long leg and kicked Xiao Zhang's chest. Xiao Zhang immediately spat out blood. Di Haotian didn't even look and turned to get into the car. The car drove steadily on the road. Di Haotian's face was tense and cold, and the sharp lines made people not dare to approach him. Chapter 355. Tang Bao felt weak all over. She could not walk from the room to the dining room to eat and then run back up again. Therefore, she asked the maid to bring lunch up and eat in the room. When the maid entered the room, she was very surprised to see the collapsed bed. Tang Bao was very embarrassed, but she could only pretend that she did not see the maid's surprised expression. Then, she pretended to be calm and sent the maid away. Di Haotian was now cold and ruthless. After torturing her in disguise, he got up and left. Tang Bao sat alone on the soft sofa and carefully. However, she just sat there and then frowned as she looked at the big bed opposite her that had completely collapsed. The more she looked at it, the deeper her frown became. The bed had already collapsed to such a state. Where was she going to sleep at night? The other rooms here had already been tidied up. She could not sleep in the room where her father used to live, right? That would definitely be inconvenient. Could it be that she had to continue sleeping on the sofa tonight? The sofa in her room was not like the luxurious sofas in the castle. The ground could be like a bed, and she could sleep comfortably as long as she tilted her body. Tang Bao hesitated for a long time, but slowly stood up in resignation. Tang Bao used all her strength to try to raise the bedboard and then put the stool under the bedboard. That way she could still sleep at night. However, wishes were beautiful, but reality was cruel. Although the quality of the bed was not good, it was still heavy. Although Tang Bao used all her strength, the bed could not be raised. Tang Bao had to give up helplessly. Tang Bao looked at herself in annoyance. She was sweating all over again and felt warm. Tang Bao had to turn around and go into the bathroom. She started to take a shower, hoping to wash away the sweat on her body with hot water. She closed the bathroom door and then took off her clothes. She had already taken a shower in the morning, and now she had to take another shower. She really had no other choice. All of this was caused by Di Haotian. When Tang Bao washed herself with water, tears fell down one by one. She would not forgive Di Haotian. At this moment, the door of the room opened. Tang Bao was startled when he heard the commotion. Because there was only her and a servant in the Tang family, who would enter her room. Could it be that Di Haotian was back? She had no choice but to turn off the tap in a hurry. She quickly wiped off the water droplets, put on her clothes, and walked out of the bathroom. When she turned around and saw who it was, she still couldn't believe it. With a cold face, she intended to ignore Di Haotian and walk past him. However, Di Haotian forcefully lifted her up. Ah! Tang Bao was shocked. What are you doing? Are you still angry? Tang Bao was stunned when he saw his calm face. She then said in a displeased voice, "The bed collapsed, wasn't it caused by you? I told you to let me go. I didn't hear anything." Di Haotian ignored her and placed Tang Bao on the soft sofa. Tang Bao was so scared that her face turned pale. She asked in disbelief and fear, "What will it take for you to let me go?" Tang Bao's body froze. Cold sweat trickled down her back. What was Di Haotian going to do now? Just as Tang Bao was too scared to move, Di Haotian handed the ointment in his hand to Tang Bao. Seeing that she was still unwilling to open her eyes to look at him, he had no choice but to open the lid of the ointment and apply it himself. A cool feeling came over her and made Tang Bao's body tremble. She had no choice but to open her eyes slowly. She saw Di Haotian gently applying the ointment to a large bruise on her arm. It turned out that Di Haotian was applying the ointment for her. Tang Bao didn't understand. Would he be so kind? Didn't he want to torture her? Why would he come here to apply the ointment for her? What was Di Haotian, this cold-faced man, thinking? Tang Bao looked at Di Haotian's still cold face. She really couldn't guess what he was thinking. However, she didn't want to accept Di Haotian's behavior at all. He treated her like this yesterday and did these strange things today. Was he trying to win her over by giving her a sweet date after giving her a slap? If it weren't for the fact that she couldn't resist him now, she definitely wouldn't have let Di Haotian, the culprit, apply the ointment for her. Seeing that Di Haotian was still slowly applying the ointment, Tang Bao's face turned red with anger. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. She tried to calm down and said, "I can do it myself. Give me your finger." Di Haotian looked up at her deeply. "Give me the ointment. Do it in front of me." Tang Bao looked at Di Haotian coldly. He ruined her bed, and he actually asked her to do it without remorse? Di Haotian's face was cold and he didn't speak. At first, they were still in a stalemate. In the end, Di Haotian snatched the ointment forcefully and continued to apply it for her without saying a word. Tang Bao closed her eyes the whole time. She didn't want to think about it or see it. Di Haotian waited until he was done and then let go of her. Tang Bao still said stubbornly, "I don't need your fake kindness to do this kind of thing." After saying that, she quickly walked to the door and opened it wide. She didn't look at Di Haotian's cold face and said coldly, "You can leave now." Di Haotian walked over with a cold face and stood in front of Tang Bao. His tall figure completely covered Tang Bao's slender body, which was extremely oppressive. Tang Bao looked down and waited for Di Haotian to leave. Di Haotian acted as if he didn't hear it and took Tang Bao's hand. Tang Bao looked up in shock and met Di Haotian's deep eyes. I said, "Don't touch me again. Do you think you can resist?" Tang Bao glared at him angrily. "You can't resist." Di Haotian's aura was very strong and couldn't be defied. "Don't you have a woman outside?" Tang Bao looked up and asked. "How many women were brought to the castle by you? Can't they satisfy you?" Di Haotian's face was tense and his eyes were cold. However, his expression was a little depressed. "I didn't spread the photos on the internet." Tang Bao was stunned. She didn't expect Di Haotian to suddenly say this. "It's not important now." When Tang Bao said this, the bitterness in her heart made her feel as if her internal organs were soaked in sulfuric acid. "What's important now? Everything about you is no longer important." Tang Bao saw Di Haotian's expression change slightly. Her eyes were darkening and becoming dangerous, but she still said it. "It's my fault for taking the initiative to abort the child. I also apologize to you. Do you think an apology is useful?" Di Haotian asked gloomily. "You've already told me with your actions that it's completely useless. We won't even go back to how we were before. So, do you want to consider divorcing me?" Tang Bao directly brought up the most sensitive topic. Di Haotian was not the only one who changed when she brought it up. Her own heart also changed. Chapter 356. Tang Bao, you aborted my child and now you want to divorce me. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Di Haotian's voice was filled with suppressed violence as he said coldly. The word divorce deeply agitated Di Haotian. It made his face become distorted and ferocious. "Then what do you want? I thought you would be happy to hear me talk about divorce." Tang Bao looked at Di Haotian with tears in her eyes. "What did I do to make you think so?" Di Haotian's breath was unsteady. Tang Bao's eyes drooped slightly. "Everything you've done makes me think so. Then it's natural for you to abort the child." Di Haotian roared and directly reached out to grab Tang Bao's face. Tang Bao's face was squeezed until it was deformed in his palm. Di Haotian's angry breath blew on her face. "Or do you want to divorce me and find someone else?" Tang Bao opened her mouth. In fact, she wanted to tell Di Haotian with certainty that yes, she wanted to find another man. These words kept lingering in her heart, as if she could say them at any time. "Before you answer, you'd better think about the consequences. Your company, your friends, I will definitely not leave a single one of them alive," Di Haotian said ruthlessly and ferociously. Tang Bao's tears rolled down directly and dripped onto Di Haotian's fingers, flowing down along the gaps of his fingers. It was so hot that Di Haotian's heart tightened. It was unbearable. His fingers suddenly released Tang Bao and did not look at her anymore. "You just stay here." After saying that, Di Haotian turned and left the room. His footsteps hit the ground heavily, as if they were hitting Tang Bao's heart. It made her cry even more uncomfortably. She did not know how long she stood there crying. It was not until she felt cold that she came back to her senses and closed the door. She walked to the window and looked out at the courtyard. Di Haotian had already left. Tang Bao raised his eyes and looked at the sky. He could not hold back the tears in his eyes and they rolled down his cheeks. His cell phone rang. The phone that she had stomped on hadn't died yet. The sound was especially crisp. Tang Bao could not tell who was calling, so he answered the call directly. "Hello? What's wrong with your voice?" Di Bai asked. "I'm fine. Maybe I just caught a cold." Tang Bao did not mention that his throat was like this because he had cried. "Why are you so careless? Have you seen the doctor and taken medicine?" Di Bai asked anxiously. His words were full of worry. Tang Bao felt that there was a reason why Di Haotian thought that she would like Di Bai and run away with Di Bai. Which girl wouldn't like such a warm man? Unlike Di Haotian, who had the blood of a demon flowing in his body. "Tang Bao?" Di Bai did not hear anything and called out to her in confusion. Why do I need to see a doctor for a cold? I just need to take some medicine. I'm in good health. I'll be fine after a nap, Tang Bao said. Are you sure you're okay? Do you want me to go and see you now? No need, no need. I'm going to sleep. Tang Bao did not want to interact with Di Junbai anymore. If Di Junbai came to the Tang family again, she did not know what crazy things Di Haotian would do again. It would definitely be worse than last night. Okay then. Why are you looking for me? Tang Bao asked. My brother came to see me today. Tang Bao was stunned. What did he say? He must have known that I went to the Tang family. He asked me why I went to see you, so I told him the truth. I also asked him why he did that, but I really couldn't figure it out. Did he go to see you? Di Junbai asked. He did. Tang Bao finally understood why Di Haotian suddenly explained to her that he was not the one who spread the photos online. He did not investigate it from the beginning because he was sure of it. What was the use of knowing now? So it was no longer important whether Tang Bao would reply to him. What did he say? He said that he was not the one who spread the photos. Who spread it? I didn't ask. Di Junbai paused. She did not ask Tang Bao why she did not ask clearly. But thinking about it, Tang Bao cared about Di Haotian's attitude, not the storm caused by a photo. I called you to tell you about this. Since the misunderstanding between you and my brother has been resolved, then let's reconcile. How can a husband and wife not quarrel? Let bygones be bygones, Di Junbai advised. Okay, I know. After hanging up the phone, Tang Bao went back to bed. The bed was close to the ground and she fell asleep just like that. She just treated it as a bed on the floor. Tang Bao curled up under the blanket and thought about what Di Junbai said. Resolve the misunderstanding? Reconcile? Di Haotian wanted to eat her up. If it was just about the photos, it would not be a big deal. The main thing was about the children. Di Haotian cared about the children, so one could imagine his anger. Why did Tang Bao talk about divorce? That was because she knew very well that Di Haotian would not forgive her because of the children. She would not tell the truth. So how could they reconcile under such circumstances? But she could not see through Di Haotian's thoughts. They were unpredictable and unpredictable. She was angry, but she would not let go. Tang Bao really felt that some things could not be said carelessly. Even lying could not be allowed. Yesterday, she lied to Di Junbai on the phone that she had caught a cold. When he woke up the next morning, Tang Bao caught a cold. Achoo, achoo, achoo. The maid stood outside the bathroom and looked in. Miss Tang, are you okay? I'm fine, just a little cold. Tang Bao leaned in front of the sink and sneezed. She was seeing stars and feeling dizzy. Her small nose was red. Her eyes were filled with tears. She looked cute and pitiful. Then take some medicine? Is there any medicine at home? Tang Bao asked. I don't think so. Tang Bao thought, if there was no medicine, what did you say? I'll buy some for you when I go to the company. Sigh. Tang Bao slapped his forehead as his entire body shivered from the cold. The cold on her hand stimulated her body. She said that she would go to the company. Actually, she did not want to stay in the villa. She wanted to talk to Wan Malay. But she was in such a state. How could she take the car by herself? She thought about it and took out her phone to find the driver's number and ask him to come and take her to the company. However, when she saw the screen of her phone, she was a little confused. She could not see clearly. Tang Bao could only fumble around to find it. Is this it? I called the driver before. It should be this, right? Tang Bao asked with uncertainty. Then she dialed the number. At the castle, Di Haotian was putting on his clothes in the cloakroom. He had just put on a well-tailored suit jacket when he heard the sound of his phone vibrating. Di Haotian walked out of the cloakroom and went to the bed. He took the phone and was stunned when he saw the caller ID. His expression was a little tense. Why did she call? The phone in his hand was still vibrating. Finally, before the vibration stopped, Di Haotian picked up the phone with a cold face and said in a calm and indifferent voice, "What's the matter?" Chapter 357. He looked at his phone screen again, but he couldn't see anything. He hurriedly said, "I dialed the wrong number." After that, he immediately ended the call without waiting for the other party's response. After the call ended, Tang Bao took a deep breath. Why did he call Di Haotian's phone? Tang Bao was so depressed. He wanted to scold himself. He could have called anyone else, but he had to call Di Haotian's phone. There was nothing more unlucky than this. Tang Bao continued to call. This time, he still didn't call the driver's phone. Instead, he called Juan Millet. "Millet? Yes, it's me. Is there a need to be so surprised?" Juan Millet asked, puzzled. "It's fine if it's you. Call the driver and ask him to come and pick me up," Tang Bao said. "You didn't call him?" "Yes, but my phone screen was smashed. I can't see the words at all." "Okay, I'll tell him." In the castle, Lien and Zhang Li didn't understand why Di Haotian's face was so cold when he came downstairs. The winter outside wasn't as cold as the castle. Who had provoked him? "Brother Haotian, you're up?" "Zhang Li and I made breakfast today according to Brother Haotian's taste." Lan Wanru walked over and said happily. Di Haotian looked ahead and asked, "How many days have you lived here?" 3 days. "Brother Haotian, what's wrong?" Lan Wanru restrained the joy on his face and asked nervously, "Ask the driver to send you back. In the future, you don't have to come to the castle without my permission." After Di Haotian finished speaking, he didn't eat breakfast. He just left. Lan Wanru's face suddenly turned pale. Tang Bao walked out of the door. The driver was waiting. She didn't even carry her backpack properly. Instead, she threw it over her shoulder like a loafer. Actually, it was because she was sick. She didn't want to have to carry the child on her back, so she might as well just forget about it. When they got into the car, Tang Bao leaned against the back seat, his head drooping weakly. She suddenly felt that being sick had its benefit. At least he didn't have the energy to think about anything else. His worries were much lighter. As soon as Tang Bao entered the company, he felt warm inside. It was not because the villa was cold, but because she often forgot to turn on the heater. In addition, she was in a bad mood, so she simply felt cold. When they entered the office, Juan Millet was cleaning. "Don't tell me you're only cleaning up after I'm here?" Tang Bao glanced at her and asked. "When do I not clean?" Juan Millet glared at her. Then, he saw the cell phone that Tang Bao had thrown on the table. He could not help but pick it up. "Oh my God, you're wasting your cell phone too much. Just how did he fall to end up like this? I can't believe it." Tang Bao's eyes flashed as he said, "He fell face first." She did not forget the anger and grievance she felt that night, but now that she was sick, it was indeed much lighter. She even thought it through. Since nothing could be changed, she would just live like this. She didn't dare to provoke Di Haotian at all. He was like a devil. She didn't want to harm the company and her friends. Di Haotian was definitely capable of doing it. There were so many people who wanted to be friends with Di Haotian, but they didn't know that the people he targeted were the most terrifying. "Achoo!" Tang Bao sneezed without hiding it. "What's wrong with you? Your nose is still red," Juan Millet asked. "I caught a cold." "Have you taken medicine?" "I don't want to." "How can you not take it? Endure it? Although you'll slowly get better if you endure it, it's still uncomfortable to endure it. I don't have anything else to do in the company today. I just want to drink as much water as I can. I want to get rid of all the germs in the day." Tang Bao leaned on the sofa and sniffed. Juan Millet thought, "You're talking as if you had other things to do in the company before." "I'll help you pour it." "No need." Tang Bao stood up to get his cup. "Do what you need to do. Don't worry about me." After saying that, he took out a tissue and wiped his nose hard. Juan Millet looked at him in disgust. "Damn, you don't even know how to control yourself." Tang Bao held the cup and walked to the pantry. He poured himself a cup of water and sat on the chair lazily. "Good morning, CEO Tang." Tang Bao looked up and saw Zhou Jisen, who came in and stood in front of the counter to make coffee. Tang Bao knew that the coffee would smell good when it was made, although it didn't taste good. But now, Tang Bao couldn't smell the coffee at all. His nose was blocked. She basically relied on her mouth to breathe now. "CEO Tang, have you caught a cold?" Zhou Jisen looked at Tang Bao and asked. "You can tell?" Tang Bao asked. "Your eyes are watery, your nose is red, and your eyes are weak." As soon as Zhou Jisen finished speaking, Tang Bao sneezed. "Have you taken your medicine?" Tang Bao pointed at the cup. "Medicine is 30% poisonous. It's healthier to drink water to kill bacteria." "Is it because CEO Tang doesn't want to take medicine?" Zhou Jisen asked. "Are all lawyers so annoying? Why are you telling the truth?" Tang Bao glared at him. "I'm Vice President Zhou now. Being a lawyer is just a side job." "Tisk, Di Haotian actually allows you to earn extra money," Tang Bao said disdainfully. "I have the ability to not affect my work." Zhou Jisen smiled faintly. "Then, have you and Yu Lianlian remarried?" Tang Bao asked. "CEO Tang, it's good to drink more water. I'll go back to work." Zhou Jisen left with the coffee. Tang Bao snorted again. "It's not a big deal. Is there a need to hide it from me? If I don't say it now, I'll continue to ask you the next time I see you." During lunch, Tang Bao sat opposite Wan Milei. The Wamilais were eaten with relish. Tang Bao, on the other hand, had no appetite at all. His eyes were still a little dull. He asked, "Is it that good?" "You'll know when you eat," Wan Milei said. Tang Bao picked up a piece of meat and stuffed it into his mouth. After chewing and swallowing it, he didn't know what it tasted like. Not only did his nose fail, but his taste buds also failed. Tang Bao took out a piece of tissue and blew his nose hard. Wan Milei was so disgusted that he couldn't swallow the food in his mouth. "I say, are you deliberately not letting me eat properly? I have a cold. Please understand." Wan Milei kept his head down and ate quickly. He wanted to finish before Tang Bao blew his nose again. Tang Bao blowing his nose was too earth-shattering. Tang Bao couldn't taste it, but he couldn't not eat it. He stuffed all the meat into his stomach, ate 2 mouthfuls of rice, and drank 2 mouthfuls of soup. "No, I have to go to the toilet." Tang Bao had too many things to do. "I'm eating," Wan Milei reminded him. "Is it my fault? I drank too much water. That's strange. I went to the toilet so many times in the morning. Why don't I feel better?" Tang Bao said doubtfully as he stood up and left. Wan Milei. Tang Bao returned to his office after using the toilet. He picked up his cup and went to the pantry to get some water. She didn't believe it. Chapter 358. She drank almost 3 cups of water in the pantry and went to the toilet 3 times. Finally, she poured a cup of water and carried it back to the office. She took off her shoes and squatted on the sofa. If the sofa was in a corner, she would look even more pitiful. Tang Bao felt a little sleepy. She looked up and saw the closed door of the lounge. Di Haotian told her to rest. Looking at it now made her lost in thought. She also thought of Di Haotian. When she thought of Di Haotian, her heart kept contracting in pain. Tang Bao simply closed her eyes. F***ck, what are you doing? Wan Milei saw Tang Bao squatting barefoot on the sofa as soon as she entered the office. That pair of fair and beautiful feet made people have the impulse to have a foot fetish. She felt that Tang Bao was shamelessly showing off her feet. Tang Bao opened her eyes. Her eyes were still watery. "What am I doing?" she repeated like a recorder. "Why aren't you wearing shoes? Sitting on the sofa and wearing shoes, are you stupid?" Wan Milei felt that there was no way to communicate. Even if there's a heater inside and it's not cold, barefoot is not good for catching a cold, right? Fight poison with poison. Oh, you're quite clear-headed when you have a bad cold. Wan Milei had to admire her. She couldn't win against her. I've always been clear-headed. It's not like you don't know. Even if you were clear-headed, you wouldn't become like this. More like a retard. Juan Millet muttered softly. I heard you. I let you hear me on purpose, Juan Millet replied. Do you feel that drinking water is useful? Why do I feel that your condition is getting worse? Juan Millet looked at her with a frown. This is a good thing. A good thing? Too much is bound to decline, Tang Bao replied lazily. You're always right. Just wait and see. When I get off work, I'll definitely be much better than now. It's not like I drank all that water for nothing. Tang Bao felt that what he did was both scientific and healthy. Juan Millet was still a little worried. Was there something wrong with the way he spoke? Therefore, he stepped forward and touched Tang Bao's forehead before touching his own. Fortunately, you don't have a fever. All right, it doesn't matter if you don't have a fever, just endure it. But you can go to the lounge and sleep on the bed. It's more comfortable this way. You can do whatever you want. I'll stay away from you so that I won't be infected by you. Tang Bao watched as Juan Millet opened the office door and left. She despised him in her heart. Do you have any culture at all? I just caught a cold, not a viral one. Juan Millet didn't care if she had a virus or not. If she was sick, she had to take medicine. Therefore, she went out of the office not to avoid the Tang Bao for fear of infection, but to buy medicine for her. She felt uncomfortable just looking at him. She did not believe that the Tang Bao would not feel uncomfortable. Juan Millet prepared to go to the toilet first to buy medicine for her. When she walked out of the toilet and walked towards the corridor of the elevator, a black figure seemed to flash in front of her. Juan Millet was stunned. Was she seeing things? She couldn't have been infected by the Tang Bao so quickly, right? She quickly ran over, but only saw an employee waiting by the elevator and about to get into it. Juan Millet stepped forward and pulled her back. Assistant Juan, what's the matter? Who came just now? The employee immediately put on an amorous expression. You saw it? Why would I ask you if I saw it? The young master came. Where did he go? What do you think? Of course, he went to President Tang's office. The employee smiled embarrassedly. Juan Millet was a little confused. Wasn't it bad to have two people? Why did the young master come here? Could it be because he heard that the Tang Bao was sick? Juan Millet thought again. If the young master came, then there was no need for her to buy cold medicine, right? She deeply felt that the Tang Bao's cold came at a good time. It would be best if the cold lasted until the two of them made up. Tang Bao was holding a cup and squatting on the sofa with his eyes closed to rest when he heard the sound of someone walking in. The sound was very soft and a little abnormal. However, the sick Tang Bao's reaction was slower. He thought that the person who came in was Juan Millet. He opened his eyes and said, Didn't you say that you were afraid of being infected by me? You still, when he saw the person who came in, his words stopped abruptly. After the shock on his face, he immediately suppressed his nervousness and said coldly, What are you doing here? You didn't make the call? Di Haotian looked at her expressionlessly. I also said that I made a mistake. I didn't hear it. Tang Bao lowered his gaze. Then you heard it now. Di Haotian looked at Tang Bao's attitude. An inexplicable anger was about to rise in his heart, and the aura around him became even colder and more inhumane. However, when he saw Tang Bao's current state, he stared at her expressionlessly with his dark eyes and asked, Are you not feeling well? It's just a cold. If you want to see me make a fool of myself, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Tang Bao said indifferently. As soon as she finished speaking, her jaw was roughly pinched. Ah! Tang Bao was shocked and groaned because of the pain in her jaw. Usually, she could not break free from Di Haotian's grip, let alone now when she was sick and weak. She glared at Di Haotian with tears and anger in her eyes. I'm not here to see you make a fool of yourself. You. Tang Bao sniffed, and the tears in her eyes became more abundant. Di Haotian looked at her and felt as if his heart was stabbed. His hand that was pinching his jaw also froze. Just when Di Haotian's heart softened because of Tang Bao's discomfort, achoo, Tang Bao sneezed. She felt much better after sneezing. It was so uncomfortable just now. She sniffed and looked at Di Haotian, who was close to her and had a frighteningly dark face. Why did he look like he wanted to eat her alive? In the blink of an eye, she saw that there were drops of water stains on the cuffs of Di Haotian's suit. Her mind went blank. At such a close distance, if she sneezed, it would not only stain the suit but also his face, right? Tang Bao looked up and saw Di Haotian's extremely cold face. She quickly said in a panic, "You can't blame me. You were so close to me that I couldn't move, so I could only sneeze like that." Di Haotian let go of her jaw fiercely and said in a deep voice, "Bring it in." Tang Bao was stunned. "Bring what in?" Then, the office door was pushed open. He Ju walked in with something that looked like a bucket and placed it in front of Tang Bao. He Ju then went out. Tang Bao craned her head to take a look and found that it was a foot-soaking bucket. It was steaming hot and seemed to have ginger in it. What was the other one? Round and round, one by one. Ginger. What's the other one? Tang Bao asked. Pepper. What are you doing with this? Tang Bao looked up at the expressionless Di Haotian. Put your feet in it. Chapter 359. She asked suspiciously, "You're not trying to harm me, are you?" Di Haotian's face suddenly turned as cold as the devil's. "Do you want me to help you?" One look at Tang Bao's expression and she knew that he did not mean to help her. There was a strong sense of danger in his eyes, and he wanted her to be tactful and put her feet into the bucket. Even if there was poison in it, she couldn't resist Di Haotian's coercion. As soon as her feet entered the water, a warmth immediately wrapped around her feet, all the way to her calves. Then, it spread along the small blood vessels and spread throughout her body. This reaction was much stronger than drinking plain water. Her hand was empty and the cup was taken away. Tang Bao looked at Di Haotian, who put the cup on the coffee table and sat on the sofa opposite her. She pursed her lips and said, "It's really hard on you to let the young master soak my feet. It's okay. When you recover from your cold, I'll make you pay back 10 times, Di Haotian said expressionlessly. Tang Bao's beautiful brows furrowed. She knew very well what Di Haotian meant by payback, and the ruthlessness in it made Tang Bao shudder. 10 times? I'll follow the young master's instructions and soak my feet. So, the busy young master should go back to tea. You're not needed here, Tang Bao continued. Di Haotian looked at her coldly without any expression on his face, but his black eyes were very sinister. Tang Bao was a little nervous. Her eyes flashed and she shut her mouth. Tang Bao ignored her. Her body relaxed on the sofa, and her feet were also relaxed. The water inside didn't need to be afraid of being cold. It would automatically heat up. After about 15 minutes, Tang Bao felt sweat on her forehead. Not only that, but her whole body was sweating. Is it enough? Tang Bao asked Di Haotian, who had been staring at her. No. Di Haotian's thin lips opened. How long has it been? Isn't it enough? I'm sweating all over. Di Haotian didn't say anything, but his irresistible aura was very strong. Tang Bao was so angry that she gritted her teeth. He had no choice but to continue soaking. He was even wiping the sweat off his face with a tissue. He didn't know how long it would take. Even if Di Haotian didn't like her, he still couldn't change his habit of being domineering and controlling, especially when the two of them were sitting opposite each other. Di Haotian just stared at her. This made Tang Bao feel very awkward. His face was so red that flowers were about to appear on it. Tang Bao thought that what the eye did not see, the heart did not grieve over. He simply tilted his head and closed his eyes. If he wanted to look, he could look. Tang Bao did not expect that he could fall asleep just by closing his eyes. Wan Malay was chatting with the girl at the front desk while keeping an eye on the office door. Although the young master hated the Tang Bao because of the child, he still appeared when the Tang Bao was sick. He should be concerned about it, right? Juan Millet still hoped that the young master could let bygones be bygones and get along well with the Tang Bao. Alright, she was a little overprotective. From a man's point of view, Tang Bao's behavior was unforgivable. However, Tang Bao had his reasons. Everything was caused by the young master's mother. What a sin! The office door opened and Di Haotian walked out with a deep aura. The unfathomable expression on his face made it impossible to see any emotions. When he passed by Juan Millet, Di Haotian looked over. Juan Millet felt as if she had been stabbed by a sharp weapon. It was so cold that her entire body trembled. She was so scared that she quickly lowered her head. It wasn't until she heard the sound of the elevator door closing that she raised her head and took a deep breath. That gaze made Juan Millet feel that she almost died. It was too scary. Thinking of what Tang Bao told her, that the young master thought that she was the one who gave him the medicine, Juan Millet was terrified. When Tang Bao woke up, he was already on the bed in the lounge. The time on the bedside table was past 3 in the afternoon. She had slept for more than 2 hours? However, she remembered that she was soaking her feet. How did she fall asleep and even run to the bed to sleep? Thinking of who might have carried her back to the lounge, Tang Bao's expression changed. She really couldn't understand Di Haotian's behavior. Thinking of what Di Haotian had said, Tang Bao's heart was filled with an unknown anger. She lifted the blanket and was about to get out of bed. Her body suddenly froze. Why did she feel that her cold had improved a lot? Tang Bao sniffed. She could breathe now? Although it wasn't completely cleared, she could breathe now. After taking 2 more steps, he no longer felt as lifeless and listless as before. Her head wasn't so dizzy anymore. Was this the credit of drinking water or soaking her feet? However, no matter which credit it was, Tang Bao didn't want to admit that it was Di Haotian's credit. So what if it was his credit? Wasn't he just waiting for her to recover so that he could do that to her? Opening the door of the lounge, she saw Juan Millet squatting there and studying the foot-soaking bucket. What are you doing? I said that I would buy a foot-soaking bucket for my parents during the new year. It's this kind of fully automatic massage. What did you feel? Let me ask you, who has experienced it before, Juan Millet turned and asked. Tang Bao wanted to say that he didn't feel anything. However, Juan Millet wanted to buy it to show filial piety to his parent. He definitely wanted to buy a good one to make the elderly comfortable. So he nodded. It's pretty good. I wonder if the one young master bought is very expensive? I have to go to the mall to see if there are any such ones. Juan Millet stood up and looked at Tang Bao. Are you better from your cold? Better? Your nose isn't red anymore, and your complexion is much better than at noon. Did you soak your feet? That's amazing. Tang Bao didn't want to admit it, but to Juan Millet, who wanted to buy a foot-soaking bucket, he still said, There's ginger and pepper in the water. I don't know either. Maybe it's from drinking water. This must be the effect of soaking your feet. Ginger dispels cold and dampness, and pepper detoxifies. Juan Millet thought of something. He walked over and sat down beside Tang Bao. Tang Bao, does young master want to reconcile with you? You're thinking too much. Tang Bao's expression didn't change. If he doesn't want to reconcile, then why is he doing this? Juan Millet didn't believe it. If you were Di Haotian and she aborted your child, would you forgive her so easily? Tang Bao asked. Juan Millet's face was tense as he shook his head slightly. Don't talk about you. I won't forgive her either. Tang Bao felt that now, she and Di Haotian were no longer just about the child. And Di Haotian, that devil, actually brought women back to the castle. He didn't take her seriously at all and was humiliating her. How would Di Haotian know that when she saw those women, her heart felt as if it was being torn apart? Juan Millet felt that these two people obviously cared about each other, but they kept torturing each other. When will this kind of misunderstanding end? Juan Millet was anxious. If you dare to say a word to Di Haotian, I'll cut ties with you. Tang Bao glanced at her indifferently. Juan Millet cursed silently. I haven't said a word yet. Chapter 360. When it was time to get off work, Tang Bao still went back to the Tang family. Once he got home, he lit incense for Tang Qishan. Looking at the black and white photo of Tang Qishan, his eyes were a little hot. He opened his mouth and said, "Dad, I'm off work." He wanted to say something, but he couldn't say anything. He turned and went upstairs. When Di Lingwei got home and saw Lan Wanru, he was a little unhappy. However, he didn't show it too obviously. But the sensitive Lan Wanru still felt it. "Uncle," Lan Wanru called him, "why are you back? Although Haotian is married, I still hope that you can persuade him more. He must be in a bad mood after losing his child." Di Lingwei said, "I know. I haven't been back for a few days, so I came back. And I feel that I can't be too close to Brother Haotian. Otherwise, he won't be able to breathe." Lan Wanru said. Di Lingwei didn't say anything. His face darkened and he went into the study. Lan Wanru's face didn't look too good either. She knew what Di Lingwei was up to. But what did he do earlier? Why didn't she know that Di Haotian got married? Why didn't she stop him? Did he know how hard it was to force him now? The atmosphere at the dining table was very tense. Liu Huai and Di Junbai were both there. Naturally, they felt it too. Liu Huai glanced at Lan Wanru, who was sitting opposite her. Because the atmosphere wasn't right, she didn't ask. "Junbai, after eating, come to my study." The first one to put down his bowl and chopsticks was Di Lingwei. After that, he stood up and left the table. Di Junbai didn't know what was going on. After eating, she went to the study to find Di Lingwei. Only Lan Wanru and Liu Huai were left at the dining table. Liu Huai asked, "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Uncle should be worried about his work." Lan Wanru didn't voice out the depression in her heart. Liu Huai's eyes were filled with disdain. When has he ever looked good when it comes to work? Being pinned down by his own nephew and unable to turn over, he vented his anger on others. "By the way, didn't Haotian ask you to stay when you returned?" "Auntie, you know that Brother Haotian and Tang Bao are in a conflict right now. He's not in a good mood, so I can't disturb him." "I say, are you stupid? Men like women's gentleness the most. As long as you stay by his side, won't your chances be greater?" Liu Huai was anxious for her. Now that the Tang Bao is throwing a tantrum, he's giving other women a chance. When Haotian finds out that you're much gentler and more sensible than Tang Bao, wouldn't he know? Back then, Lan Wanru also thought the same. However, Di Haotian was impregnable like an iron wall. She couldn't get close to him at all. Even when she personally washed his hands and made soup for him, he didn't eat a single bite. He even chased her back and told her not to go to the castle again. She didn't understand. Why couldn't she compare to Tang Bao? How was Tang Bao worthy of Di Haotian's exclusive love? Don't you like Haotian very much? Since you like him, then fight for him at all costs, no matter the means. When Haotian and Tang Bao reconcile, you won't have this chance anymore. Thank you for your advice, Auntie. I know what to do now. Liu Huai smiled in relief. Auntie knows that you're smart, and I believe in your ability. You must seize the opportunity that belongs to you. Lan Wanru nodded. However, she didn't feel so relaxed. That was Di Haotian, not anyone else. If it were anyone else, she wouldn't care about the consequences. On one hand, she wanted to drive a wedge between them, and on the other hand, she wanted to make Di Haotian feel that she was innocent. Otherwise, wouldn't Di Haotian ignore her even more? Just like Xiao Rui in the past. She didn't want to become the second Xiao Rui. From young to old, Lan Wanru knew very well how extreme Di Haotian's heartlessness was. How terrifying. However, she also knew very well that this was her chance to get close to Di Haotian. If she succeeded, then Tang Bao would be ignored by Di Haotian for a long time, and then they would get a divorce. In the study. "Dad, are you looking for me? Is it about the company?" Di Junbai asked. "Wanru is back. Did you see her?" Yes. If I'm not wrong, you also like Tang Bao, right? Di Junbai didn't say anything. His gaze fell slightly. However, silence was tacit agreement. Don't think that I don't know anything just because I don't ask. Also, I'm very satisfied with the photos on the internet. Wanru's mind is quite active when she went to the castle at this time. How many days has she been back? Di Lingyue was very dissatisfied. Dad, what do you mean? Let Wanru marry Di Haotian. If you like Tang Bao, you can also marry her. Di Lingyue made his words clearer. You want us to drive a wedge between them? Di Haotian is the best at using tricks. What we did was only 1/10 of what he did. What are you worried about? If anything happens, I'll take care of it. When I was imprisoned by him last time, you couldn't do anything too, right? Di Junbai didn't give Di Lingyue any face at all. Di Lingyue's old face was very ugly. I don't have the ability, and you want to do it for me? Di Junbai didn't say anything. He narrowed his eyes and looked a little gloomy. Di Lingyue was so angry that his chest was uneven. He calmed down and asked, Does Tang Bao like you? He used to like me, but I'm not sure now. Then what exactly do you think of Tang Bao? Di Lingyue asked anxiously. Di Junbai didn't answer this question. Instead, he said, You don't even want to ask who spread the photos on the internet last time? Di Lingyue was stunned. It was as if his sensitivity had suddenly decreased. Who spread it? It looks like the account belongs to Di Haotian, but Di Haotian wouldn't do such a thing. It's impossible for an outsider to spread the photos with such an encrypted account. Di Lingyue's face darkened. He paced back and forth, thinking. He thought of something and said, Yu Songhuan? I think other than her, no one else would know about Di Haotian's account. Also, one of the bodyguards in the bungalow was beaten half to death by Di Haotian's men. This can't be a coincidence. Di Lingyue nodded. Yu Songhuan has always disliked Tang Bao as his daughter-in-law. A while ago, Wanru was called by Yu Songhuan to have a meal with Di Haotian. Her thoughts are very obvious. Actually, Wanru is also in a difficult position. Dad, you should be more understanding of her. Di Junbai looked at Di Lingyue's expression and said, If there's nothing else, I'm going back to my room. After saying that, he left the study room. Di Lingyue stared at the closed door thoughtfully. He seemed to have underestimated his son. Di Lingyue came out of the study room and saw Li Yuhuai and Lan Wanru talking in the living room. He walked over and sat down on the sofa. The company's matters really troubled me. Now that it's settled, I feel much more relaxed. Di Lingyue said, Uncle, you should take care of your health. Lan Wanru said, That's right. Your health is important. Li Yuhuai said. Chapter 361. Yeah, I was just talking to Wanru about what should I get for sister-in-law's birthday, Li Yuhuai said. I saw a jade Buddha statue some time ago. It's very transparent and I'm going to buy it as a gift. That's good. Cater to her preferences. What is Wanru going to give? Di Lingyue asked. I haven't thought about it yet. Lan Wanru really wanted to be more cautious. Yu Songhuan doesn't lack good things. No matter what you want to give, you have to cater to her preferences and win her favor, Di Lingyue said. Thank you for your advice, Uncle. I'll remember it. Yu Songhuan was devoted to Buddhism, so Lan Wanru would naturally give her a gift. She wanted to go somewhere else to ask Yu Songhuan and Di Haotian for a protective talisman. Yu Songhuan was devoted to Buddhism, but Di Haotian was also her most important son. Seeing that she was thinking about Di Haotian even on such an occasion, Yu Songhuan would definitely be very satisfied with her. Of course, this was also a very good opportunity for her. A chance to scheme against Tang Bao. Tang Bao didn't know about Yu Songhuan's birthday. She didn't think of this either. She had been catching a cold these few days, but after soaking her feet, Tang Bao's cold was completely cured. She was in the office now, sitting on the sofa with a healthy face, playing with her phone and eating fruit. You were like a sick cat a few days ago, but now you're full of energy. You're really good at using your phone. Wanmale laughed at her. Isn't it always like this when you're healthy? Don't make a fuss. When you recover from your cold, you'll be like me. Wanmale stared at her silently. After staring, he said, Seems like it's because of the loving foot soaking. I don't have a boyfriend, so I'm afraid I have to endure it. You can buy yourself a foot-soaking bucket. Tang Bao didn't have any intention of comforting her. And when he mentioned Di Haotian, her expression changed. It was like a thorn in his heart. It was fine if he didn't move it, but once he moved it, it hurt. When Wanmale saw Tang Bao stop fiddling with her phone, she knew that she had touched her sensitive spot. She could not help but change the topic. Since you've recovered, accompany me to buy some after work. I want to bring them back to my parents for the new year. Sure. Tang Bao came back to his senses and agreed. At this moment, there was a knock on the office door. Chen Shu walked in. President Tang, I wonder who sent you the invitation card. Mine. Tang Bao was stunned. Yes. Chen Shu handed over the invitation card and left. Tang Bao flipped open the invitation card and saw her name at the bottom. Looking at the reason for the invitation, it turned out that it was to attend Yu Songhuan's birthday party. The young master gave it to you? Wanmale asked. It looks like his handwriting, Tang Bao said. She had seen it when Di Haotian helped her with her homework. Now, the words on this invitation card were written with vigor and strength. I'm thinking that the young master might not be able to put down his face, so he wrote an invitation card to ask you to go. After all, the young master is not an ordinary person. This is already very good. What do you think? Tang Bao also felt that it might be so. Moreover, Yu Songhuan's birthday party was definitely a big deal. It couldn't be a joke. Although she and Di Haotian had quarreled like this, she was still Di Haotian's wife, and Yu Songhuan was still her mother-in-law. As a daughter-in-law, she definitely had to attend. No matter what Di Haotian thought, this was a matter of self-restraint. It had nothing to do with anything else. 2 days later, it was Yu Songhuan's birthday, but there was no birthday party. Instead, they prepared to have a big meal with their family in the bungalow. This was because Yu Songhuan didn't like big parties, and he didn't like that kind of liveliness. Lan Wanru got out of the car with his family and looked at the bungalow in front of him with a scheming smile. Presumably, Tang Bao was going to the hotel with the invitation card at this time, right? That's right. She was the one who made the invitation card for Tang Bao. It was to let her have some self-awareness. So what if she was the daughter-in-law of the Di family? She wasn't even qualified to attend Yu Songhuan's birthday. At this moment, Tang Bao was wearing a decent dress and went to the hotel according to the address on the invitation card. However, after entering, she didn't find the place where the banquet was held. I'm sorry, may I ask if the banquet held here hasn't started? Tang Bao asked a passing waiter. The waiter was stunned and said, No, our hotel didn't receive an invitation to hold a banquet today. No? How could that be? Look at my invitation card. Is it yours? Tang Bao showed the invitation card to the waiter. The waiter looked at it and said, It's ours, but we didn't hold a banquet today. The waiter was afraid that he had made a mistake, so he pulled over a colleague who was passing by and asked about the situation. The other colleague also said that the hotel hadn't received an invitation to hold a banquet recently. The waiter asked Tang Bao, Could it be that the address is wrong? It's possible. Thank you. Tang Bao thanked him and turned to leave. She walked to a place not far from the hotel and looked at the invitation card in her hand. If she still didn't understand now, she would be too stupid. Was it fun to insult her like this? Tang Bao directly tore the invitation card. When the wind blew, small pieces flew all over the ground. At the same time, it was broken like her heart. Di Haotian, was this your idea? Or was it Yu Songhuan's idea? Why did you do this? Tang Bao couldn't stand this grievance and tears fell. Her meticulous dressing was like a joke. In the bungalow, she was sitting in the living room with the D family. D Houtyen had already looked at the watch on his wrist twice. His expression was indifferent as he suppressed the irritation in his heart. Why do you keep looking at the time? Are you hungry? Yu Song-hwan pretended not to know and asked. Why don't we eat in advance? We're all family anyway. Lan Wanru also said, Yes, Brother Houtyen, don't starve. There's no need to eat in advance. After D Houtyen finished speaking, he stood up and left the living room. He walked outside. Hee-ju stood outside. Young master? Go and pick her up. Yes. After Tang Bao returned to the office, her face was very pale. It looked like she had a cold again. Wan Malay looked at Tang Bao, who walked in a daze, and asked, What's wrong with you? Why are you back so soon? She wasn't ready to eat yet. The banquet couldn't have ended so quickly. There was no birthday banquet at all. I was deceived. Tang Bao's eyes were red. What? Wan Malay couldn't believe it. How could the young master do this? Is there anything he won't do? Tang Bao asked angrily. He would even bring a woman back to the castle. What's this? What did you say? He brought a woman back to the castle? F***ck. Does he still want to get over it? Wan Malay was so agitated that she almost jumped up. Tang Bao pursed her lips and sat down on the sofa dejectedly. She covered her face with both hands and said in a low voice, Malay, can D Houtyen and I go back to the past? Everything has changed. Wan Malay knew that if Tang Bao wasn't so agitated, she wouldn't have said that D Houtyen brought a woman back to the castle. Chapter 362. But she didn't want Tang Bao to be so upset. Maybe there's a misunderstanding? I saw it with my own eyes. And Lan Wanru is living in the castle now. Believe it or not, Lan Wanru will definitely be there for Yu Song-hwan's birthday party. So, I'm unnecessary. But why would he use such an invitation card to deceive me? I hate D Houtyen. He's a heinous bastard. Tang Bao cursed angrily. He really deserves to be cursed. Wan Malay helped her. It's bad enough that he wrongly accused you of aborting the child, but he even brought a woman home and used an invitation card to deceive you. I'm so angry. Tang Bao wiped his tears and felt extremely uncomfortable in his heart. He didn't know how to vent the anger in his heart. Tang Bao, don't be like this. I feel terrible just looking at you. Don't worry, no matter what D Houtyen does, I'll stand by your side. Wan Malay comforted her. Malay, I don't have a single family member left. If it weren't for you, I don't know who else I can trust. Tang Bao wiped her tears and dripped down again. Wan Malay could understand Tang Bao's pain too well. Her parents were no longer around. She had no family. Even if Wan Malay did not have money, she had her parents and family members, so she never felt lonely. But from the first day she met Tang Bao, she knew that she did not have a mother and had a vicious stepmother. She also did not have a good relationship with her father. In the end, the father and daughter did not reconcile. Instead, they were separated forever, which caused regret in her heart. At first, she thought that she had D Houtyen to dote on and pamper her. She felt that Tang Bao was lucky. At least D Houtyen was there. But now, things had turned out this way. She felt extremely sad just looking at it. Tang Bao, don't worry. I'll always be by your side. Wan Malay promised her. Tang Bao nodded. Not long after, Tang Bao's emotions slowly calmed down. There was a knock on the door. Then, the person who walked in was not someone they thought was from the company, but Hee-ju. She straightened her back and looked at them. Tang Bao's expression suddenly changed, including Wan Malay. Young madam, today is old madam's birthday. The young master asked me to pick you up. Hee-ju said. When Tang Bao heard this, he thought of the invitation card again. He stood up and said angrily to Hee-ju, Go back to your young master, and tell him to scram as far as he can. I don't care. Hee-ju was stunned. Hey, I told you to get lost. What are you still doing here? Wan Malay scolded angrily. Hee-ju looked at her coldly. Wan Malay's neck shrank. The memory of throwing her out of the car in the middle of the night still lingered. Young madam, this is the young master's order, Hee-ju repeated. Then pass on my words to him. I don't want to see you in the future, and I don't want to see him either. Knowing him was the biggest mistake of my life. After Tang Bao finished speaking, he directly pushed Hee-ju out. Hee-ju couldn't hit her and was pushed out of the door. Then, Tang Bao directly slammed the door shut. It made a loud bang to vent the anger in his heart at this moment. It was bad enough that he used the invitation card to insult her, but he even asked Hee-ju to come. Did he throw it on the road halfway? Tang Bao, you did well. Wan Malay supported. Tang Bao smiled weakly and didn't say anything. She only felt that she was about to break down because of Di Haotian's method. Hee-ju didn't leave immediately. He didn't complete the task, so he naturally had to ask for instructions. So, he turned around and called Di Haotian. The other side picked up, but Di Haotian didn't say anything. Young master, young madam doesn't want to go with me, Hee-ju said. What did she say? Di Haotian's voice was low and suppressed. Hee-ju was a little hesitant. Say it. She said, she doesn't care. Hee-ju condensed Tang Bao's words into 3 words. However, even with these 3 words, Di Haotian's face suddenly darkened. Since she doesn't care, then don't call her. Di Haotian directly threw the phone to the bodyguard next to him. His face was terrifyingly dark. His black eyes were as cold as an icehouse, and there was a ruthless luster like a hurricane. At the dining table, no matter how much Di Haotian tried to suppress his emotions, the others could feel the coldness in his body. It was as if he couldn't suppress it. After lunch, Di Haotian left first. Di Lingyue's family left later. Except for Di Junbai, who drove himself. Di Lingyue, Liu Huai, and Lan Wanru sat in the MPV. Today's meal really doesn't taste good, Liu Huai said pretentiously. Auntie, are you not full? Go back and eat some more. Lan Wanru smiled. Didn't you notice that something was wrong today? Liu Huai asked. Tang Bao didn't come. Lan Wanru said. See? Mother-in-law's birthday is such a big event, and Tang Bao actually didn't come. Isn't it obvious that he's been banished to the cold palace? Liu Huai said. Lan Wanru lowered his gaze, and the corner of his mouth lifted into a smile. Di Lingyue seemed to be in a good mood. Anyway, if you have nothing to do in the future, please your big aunt more. I can see that at the dining table. She's very satisfied with you. I know, Lan Wanru said. It's not enough to just be satisfied with your big aunt. You have to spend more time with Di Haotian. Marriage is a matter of time, place, and people. It's not enough that big aunt is satisfied with you. As long as you think of a way to make Di Haotian nod his head to your performance, your marriage to Di Haotian will be realized. Di Lingyue said. Liu Huai smiled and said, Don't worry about that. Wanru knows what to do. It's not like you didn't see at the dining table. My daughter-in-law didn't even come to mother-in-law's birthday banquet. Di Haotian's expression was very dissatisfied. Liu Huai felt that Di Haotian's expression was bad because Tang Bao didn't come to Yu Songhuan's banquet. In reality, that wasn't the case. Di Haotian cared about Tang Bao's resistance, and he didn't want to get close to her. In the dim private room, Di Haotian drank a little too much, and he drank bottle after bottle of hard liquor. If it was someone else, they would have been drunk to death by such strong liquor. However, Di Haotian felt that he couldn't get drunk no matter how much he drank. The more he drank, the clearer the slender figure in his mind. He couldn't shake her off no matter how hard he tried. It made him flip the heavy coffee table in anger, and even the wine bottles and glasses were all overturned. It was a mess on the ground. No one dared to go in. Tang Bao finished showering, dried her hair, and walked out of the bathroom. She realized that the curtains weren't closed yet. The moonlight shone in. I wonder if it will snow this winter? Tang Bao walked over and was about to close the curtains when she suddenly saw the car parked under the street lamp below. The danger lurking in the dark. Tang Bao couldn't be more familiar with it. She just didn't understand why Di Haotian's car was here. Di Haotian was here? Tang Bao thought of something after being stunned for a while. She turned around and was about to lock the door. However, she hurriedly ran over. Before she could lock the door, it was pushed open from the outside. Chapter 363. Tang Bao's expression changed. Was Di Haotian going to do something to her again? She suddenly panicked a little. What's wrong? You locked the door when you saw me. Did you do something wrong? Di Haotian walked in with a sullen face and slammed the door shut. What are you doing here? Tang Bao was very flustered. Even the hatred she had for Di Haotian during the day had dissipated a lot. Especially Di Haotian now. The smell of alcohol was even stronger than that day. She didn't know how crazy Di Haotian would be after drinking too much. She couldn't help but feel a little scared. The danger covered everything. What do you think I'm doing? After Di Haotian entered, he took off his black coat and suit as he spoke. Then, he unbuttoned his shirt. Tang Bao looked at Di Haotian's actions and became more and more frightened. I really don't know why you're here. Isn't today your mother's birthday? Isn't it a good day for you and Lan Wanru to get along? Why are you here? Tang Bao said with a trembling voice. The bitterness in her heart surged up. Maybe she would take advantage of Yu Songhuan's birthday and directly let Lan Wanru marry Di Haotian. And what was she, the first wife, worth? If she said she didn't want it, she didn't want it. There's nowhere I can't go. Are you trying to stop me? He approached Tang Bao. Tang Bao looked at Di Haotian and was very scared. The dangerous aura made Tang Bao step back. In terms of strength, she definitely couldn't compete with Di Haotian directly. It was like the difference between a mouse and a beast. Therefore, Tang Bao asked sadly, Di Haotian, what do you want? I'm torturing you? Di Haotian's dark eyes became dangerous. Do you think I'm torturing you? Tang Bao didn't understand why he asked this. Was it not the case? Perhaps to Di Haotian, she was torturing him, because she had caused him to lose his child. Di Haotian, do you think you're the only one who's sad because the child is gone? That's your child, and also mine. Tang Bao's eyes were filled with tears. Di Haotian reached out and clamped her shoulders forcefully and questioned her. Are you crying in front of me? Tang Bao was dumbfounded. However, Di Haotian's strength was so great that even she couldn't deal with it. However, before she could finish, she was to be taken away by Di Haotian. Tang Bao instinctively, she wanted to run, but she couldn't. Was like a solid prison to prison. Tang Bao to I've already washed up. Tang Bao shouted angrily. As Haotian heard her. Her she. It was useless for her to struggle. Di Haotian made her face him. The whole air was oppressive and dangerous. It was as if it was frozen by Di Haotian's aura. Only the sound of running water in the shower could be heard, making a rustling sound in her ears. But it didn't alleviate the dangerous factor in the air at all. At this moment, Di Haotian's face completely darkened.